Because you got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been.
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing mind.
Move him out of here, there.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome everyone to the 536th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse, found on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, etc., etc. We're all over the place. You want to drop us that 5-star review, the thumbs up, whatever it might be on the particular podcast player of your choice, we would appreciate that. And if for whatever reason we're doing something wrong, why don't you go ahead and let us know in the comments, and we will do the best to resolve it. We'll send it through HR, and it'll go through the rounds, and in 6 to 8 weeks you just might find yourself with a resolution.
No, file it in the shredder.
Yep, file 13, Steve, file 13.
Absolutely.
But a little bit of a weird week for boxing, yet us hardcores managed to find about a dozen hours of viewing pleasure or viewing displeasure, depending on what you might have been looking. Honestly, I kind of enjoyed what I saw. And unfortunately, what I wasn't able to catch all of was Friday night's a fantastic fight with McCann-Baluta almost pulling off another one. Steve, did he get the wrong end of this technical decision going to the cards in the 9th?
That is an interesting question, Matty. Do you mean technically, did he get the wrong end of the stick, or do you think, in my opinion, should he have been ahead on the cards? What are you referring to?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. For the little bit, I think go a little bit deeper even. The little bit that I did see in the highlights package I caught,
Yes.
It would seem that there was a little bit of bias against him from the referee. And it did seem like he was landing the cleaner shots. So do you think that the fight, I mean, how many ways did they potentially screw him on this night? Are we saying just on the cards, just the referee's bias, or calling the fight early on that cut when he was coming on?
Yeah, well, you said he was landing the cleaner work. The thing is about Baluta, his general approach isn't always clean. Like, he is quite an off-balance kind of guy, lunging forward. It wasn't particularly a dirty fight, but the mask of blood on McCann told the story. The left hand was starting to land as the fight went on. I think that the fight was definitely going in his direction. If they'd have gone through the 9th first, and I think maybe Rob Tebbett put up on Twitter about 2 of the judges scored the 9th round, which you're supposed to do, no matter how long it lasts for, 10-10. So ultimately, a lot of people were thinking that Baluta should have got the decision. This was supposed to be McCann's kind of coming out party. Baluta is the ultimate gatekeeper, which sounds like a bit of a disingenuous, like, faint praise. But this guy, I was trying to think of the first time I actually saw him in action. I was looking down his record there. October 2019 was his first notable win to sort of UK audience in Wolverhampton, very much like myself. His coming out party was in Wolverhampton in 2019, defeating Kyle Williams. Then the most notable name to that point, TJ Dehaney, defeated him out in Dubai, and then knocked out David Oliver Joyce in Bethnal Green, which got him the Conlon fight. A lot of people said that the run for his money he gave Conlon was an indication of how far Conlon's ceiling might be. He came out to that, beat Brad Foster, Liam Davis, then a win over Kane, then the draw with McCann. I know I'm being a bit of a box wanker here, but that just shows the kind of level that Baluta has fought at. And I think one of the best names that comes out of this was Liam Davis, who fought Baluta last November.
Absolutely walked him. Absolutely walked him.
He has done the best job on Baluta of anybody, Conlon included. You would say, even win or loss or whatever. And Davis is maturing into a really nice fighter. Got a lovely set of teeth. He was at ringside as well, enjoying himself, and he was smiling, and with good reason, because he's looking at these other guys, your Conlons, your Dennis McCanns, your Kanes, and he's done as well, if not better, of all of these guys. Back to last night anyway, Matty. I think he was coming on Baluta. I think both of them, well, maybe McCann more so, I'd say, would be happy that the fight got out of there when it did. Get the cut stitched up. Maybe they can go again in a rematch at some point in the future. Maybe McCann's team or Frank Warren might think, you know what, let's just swerve him a little bit and go off in a different direction. But eventually, they're going to have to close this one off and come back and fight Baluta. And if McCann's going to do anything with his career, which a lot of people think he is, classy southpaw, looks the part, nice entrance, he's going to have to right this wrong and come back and beat Baluta. He will have learnt a lot from this. To the distance, the range, trying to land the right shots at the right times. It was an excellent fight. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't kick off in the crowd, which I thought it might have done. Everybody just ran out at the end, sort of with their heads down. But really good Friday night. Baluta will be aggrieved that the fight didn't quite make it to the 10th round, because I think he would have won if it had done.
Well, and Baluta already showing that he has that 12-round motor as well.
Exactly.
Don't know that was going to bid too well for McCann. Andy, are you thinking that McCann needs to run this back before he can move forward, or do you think he can just kind of swerve and do something else?
Well, to be fair, if he's saying that he's at British European level, then Baluta is that level, so he should be rematched him. It's just unfortunate that the cut actually happened where it happened. Face was just running right into his face. If it happened maybe below the eye or the side of the eye, it couldn't be manageable. But he just it was just unfortunate. But at the end of the day, Baluta's a solid gatekeeper. At the end of the day, if you want to get past European level, that's the type of guy you need to go through. I think they need to run it back. I agree with everything that Steve was saying about Liam Davis. The way he handled Baluta just shows, and then look at like what McCann was kind of putting into it. I would definitely say at this point Davis is beating McCann quite handedly. The left hook, I think it was it the 8th round? I think it caught McCann. I mean, I'll give McCann a lot of credit as well. He showed a lot of grit, a lot of heart and desire as well to try and dig in there. I mean, that was a horrid cut at the end of the day. Pretty much changed his whole outlook or how he actually was approaching the fight as such. But just not maybe ready for that level yet. So maybe a couple more fights. Certainly running about the Baluta level, but I think at some point he's got to meet him again at some point. But certainly worth an anticipated rematch. As for Liam Davis as such as well, just want to bring him into the conversation. I was thinking about him last night actually. What do you do with him? Obviously, he's British champion. Do you try and get him to win it outright? Because just looking at the kind of world rankings at this point, I think at some point he's going to have to step up to obviously that top 10 status opponents. But I think maybe a couple more fights at British level, win it outright, then start looking at maybe like Alim or Akmadaliev, who are both are coming off losses at this point. Maybe Kameda possibly, but he's well experienced at the world level, trains in Mexico gyms, that type of thing. So TG Dehaney's a bit maybe past it at this point, but still got a high ranking. So those are the kind of opponents he'd be looking at potentially over the next 18 months. But I like to see maybe kind of like win the British outright and then make the move for the top 10 opponents at some point, because you've got Inoue and Tapale, so there's no any rush or any opportunities, I don't think, at this point for a world title fight either. So anyway, just going back to that fight, good fight, great fight, probably the best fight of the weekend, to be fair. It was very slim pickings, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, we can get to that later. You might have missed some stuff that Mr. Wellings and I were able to catch there.
I did take a wee bit of the kind of weekend off, to be fair. Nothing was really kind of float my boat, so I just took time to kind of. Obviously, I watched that Friday night and that, but I didn't really watch much last night. I had the zone card. I think Tony Bellew said it best actually before the main event. Pretty much shat on it, so I think the undercard was pretty much the same, apart from one fight possibly which I missed. So what can I say?
In your own time, Andy, doing your own things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, mate. That's what I'm saying. I've got a life outside of this as well sometimes, you know.
You know, I got to tell you, this is pretty interesting about Baluta. I'm just doing some math. Sorry, I'm kind of doing it on the fly. So his opponents right now, we'll see how many opponents. Combined record of 109, 2, 3, 4, 4 losses and 2 draws to their credit. And that's the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 opponents. That's pretty tremendous record. I mean, going again against prospects right there. I mean, Baluta, he has a really high level of competition consistently, and it just goes to show you, if you keep challenging yourself and you stay busy, you keep a pretty sound level of work, of quality to your work there. You got to give this guy credit. Just keeps rolling on there. And it would be interesting to see if maybe he gets an opportunity, maybe at a European title, move up on that again. Davis is probably already going to move up to world title level here shortly. So might see an opportunity there. Never know. But Steve, what else did you see on that card that might be worth speaking about?
I'm trying to remember now, to be honest. What else did I see on that card? So I saw Nathaniel Collins knocked out Raza Hamza in the first round. Collins was a bit tight at the weight, they were saying, and they didn't know how it was going to end up if it went long, 12 rounds, because it was a British title. And the Commonwealth title, Hamza, a bit of a prospect at one point, but he'd lost before. He got iced in the first round. He just got caught cold, really. He was really dejected, as you would be, the poor fellow at the end. But Collins absolutely knocked him out there. Ryan Garner, 13-0, went in against Juan Jesus Antonez. It was really one-way traffic, this one. He was just beating him from pillar to post, really. Antonez had an argument, maybe. If it hadn't been so one-sided to that point, then the stoppage maybe could have took a few more. The coach wasn't happy about it, but he just offered nothing, and couldn't really argue with that. Raven Chapman, I saw the end of that one. I think I can't remember what I was doing, to be honest, and I don't recognise anything from the undercard. So yeah, Garner, Collins, McCann were the main 3 that I saw in that one, Matty, and it was okay. Kept us going. I like a Friday night fight, actually. I was writing about it, an article about it, which will come out next week. But these kind of midweek, I know you can't class Friday as midweek fights, but we had like the TNT Sports one, we had the OTX one. Showbox goes on a Friday night. Eye of the Tiger do Thursday night in Canada and ESPN. Channel 5 do Friday night. Pro Box TV, your favourite, do Wednesday night. Saturday night boxing's dead, Matty, I think.
Yeah, or at the very least, it's getting competition from every other day that ends in Y.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was I'm glad for whatever entertainment you guys were able to find on that, and hopefully I can catch that full fight eventually, because it sounds like it was quite the enjoyable affair all the way through. I was unfortunately, Steve, unable to catch the Yafai card because as I tried to watch it today, the full card was not available to me, and lo and behold, is the few individual fights that were available on there. The video lagged behind the audio, much like I described it earlier. It's just a little bit not as bad as it was that time. I didn't quite feel like I was in the Matrix, but kind of caught up with it, so it became pointless for me to watch it. But please tell me all about Yafai knocking out Tommy Frank. And apparently a very, very good fight between Walker and Pattinson, with Walker pulling off the upset victory, even despite the stupid spelling of his first name.
Yeah. Another Wolverhampton boxer. Tell you what, they're flying up at the moment, Matty. Just to clarify, before we
move... that's his parents can't spell. Okay.
Too much inbreeding. Anyway, just to clarify what you were saying there, just so everybody can listen, in case we have a DAZN affiliate link or something, or anybody wants to join. You're a DAZN subscriber, fully paid up. That's correct, yes?
Sadly, yes.
Yes. And the full fight, the full card from the weekend in Birmingham is not available to you. And the only fights that were available to you in highlight form were about 10 seconds lagging out of sync or something. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great deal of bullshit. But there were 2 other American cards, which I enjoyed greatly from DAZN. So it was a mixed bag.
I'm not trying to rip you, Matty. I actually... I feel
fuck DAZN at this point in time. Fuck them.
Yeah, you should.
It's like, if I didn't long to be entertained so much, I would have given up my money long before. But let's all face it, I've spent $25 on far dumber things than DAZN over the course of the month. I know,
but you're being entertained in small portions and 10 seconds after everybody else.
Yeah. It's like watching a fight with Andy simultaneously. They spoil it for me.
But the thing is, though, it's like, you actually get to sit listening to Tony Bellew speak 10 seconds behind and shit on the main event before it even starts. This is quality stuff that you're missing out on here, Matthew.
Son of a
Can't
bitch.
believe it, man. You ain't going to download it.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. Still, it's almost 24 hours since the event happened, and you still do not have access to that full card.
No,
On
and
demand, on the zone demand.
Well, there's like 3 full fights that were cut out of them, and Pattinson and Walker wasn't one of them, and apparently that was the one that I really would have liked to have watched.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not watching that lagging bullshit. It's just very annoying.
Well,
it's like watching a poorly synced, like Asian movie when they try to do it in English. It's just terrible.
The old kung fu films.
Yeah, some of them are better than others. I love Bruce Lee movies, but some you look at it's like, fuck, you need to shorten that line, homie.
Well, don't worry. I'll give you the rundown as best as I saw it, Matty, to be honest with you. So Solomon Dakers against Chris Thompson. I saw bits and pieces of that one, to be honest, but it wasn't anything to write home about. I didn't catch Flynn against Baker. I'm not sure that was even on the card. I think the other one was Majid against Fazula on the version that I was watching. Anyway, the main event, we'll get that out of the way. Galal Yafai was just absolutely too skilled for Tommy Frank. Battered him in the first round. Frank's been a decent fighter in and around the circuit. Went 10 into the 10th round with Jay Harris. I think he drew with Craig Derbyshire. He's like a good, honest pro, but Yafai was just levels above. Came out, had a bit of spite about him, bit down on the gum shield. Had a bit of beef with Frank's corner team as well. He wasn't happy about some of the comments were made. People apparently have said things like, "Oh, this is you're a good amateur, you're Olympic gold medalist, but the pros is a different game." Well, he just blitzed through Frank. And I like this version of Yafai, if that's the way he's going to be when people get under his skin. Long may it continue. There wasn't too much more to say about that one, to be honest, other than Bellew afterwards calling him the best prospect in world boxing. But on to the undercard, Cyrus Pattinson retired. He was retired by his cornerman, Graham Rutherford, who was a bit of a shouty character, kept screaming at him from the first bell after every round, trying to get advice into his ears as best as he could against Conor Walker, who's been a decent, solid pro around the scene, never really aspired to any great level, not really much of a knockout puncher, never been stopped, so he's definitely tough, looked a little bit slow and square on at times, but this was just a good old-fashioned shootout. Pattinson was knocked down 3 times, and it was the 3rd round knockdown, the very first one, which was a right hook, which I think did the damage, and I was saying to the Nutters earlier, I don't think he recovered from that throughout the whole fight. He carried that knockdown with him. He was either concussed or hurt. He was fighting hurt. He just could not get back into the fight at all. He was dropped in the 5th round as well. I think the 6th round, if I'm right, he was technically dropped to the referee, pulled up the count, but I don't think it was a fair knockdown. I think his maybe feet went under him from a bit of water on the canvas. But either way, he tried to complain in the corner, saw the writing on the wall. He kept coming back. He was catching Walker with body shots. And I thought, you know what? He might come back and turn this fight around, because he is a tough guy, very fit, but by the 8th round, he was just taking a lot of blows. It was either the 8th or the 7th, I think it was the 8th round, and he was taking a load of shots at the end, and then eventually he went back to the corner just about, and the corner, Graham Rutherford, said, "I've had enough, I don't want to see this anymore." And I think that was the right thing. It was just an absolute good old-fashioned slugfest, not much skill involved, but the body shots of Walker especially, even more than the headshots, were just draining the energy, sapping the energy out of Pattinson every time he landed the left hand to the body. And in the end, he took the step up. He's had some quite hard fights in his 6 or 7 outings so far, Pattinson, and he just paid the price for it, really. Eddie was happy enough. The bit of accidental value there, and Walker picked up the WBA Intercontinental title or something like that. He's from Wolverhampton, as I mentioned. This was in Birmingham, had a lot of supporters in the crowd as well. And he said afterwards, "They're not my fans, they're my friends and family. I know them all by name." And Eddie, get me out again. Eddie wasn't really too committal as to whether he was going to do that or do the rematch or not. But fantastic, good old-fashioned slugfest. Not much of the sweet science, but it was a brawl. And one of the commentators, of course, committed the cardinal sin, Matty, as I close up here, and said, "Oh, it's like Ward Gatti in the 5th round." So someone had to go there.
Oh, fucking Christ. Anyways, Andy, I see you're off mute there. Were you wanting to speak something on that Steve was saying?
No, mate, I've sat on the mute button on my earphones here, sorry, mate. I just noticed it there. It's actually it's wedged between my thigh and the armrest of my chair here, sorry.
No worries, man. No worries. So, I tell you, Steve, that Baluta draw really kind of screwed with the prediction league. No matter what side you're on, nobody picked that. And then, to make things further interesting, You might ask yourself, why would so many people be interested in a fight between Money Pal IV and Sean McCalman? Well, that was the other fight in the prediction league. It's that fight failed to entertain, but let's kick it off with what I thought was a very entertaining fight in this overtime boxing card.
Yes.
That ended up going the extra round. I thought that Lorenzo Parra had already sealed the deal against Javon Campbell. Personally, Steve, maybe I was biased because I had put a little bit of money on him. Nice little 5.5-1 underdog that myself and Joe Kennedy got some action on. But they went to the 9th round after the scores were announced. We needed some more. And 2 of the judges giving Parra that last round. Really, I mean, the story of this fight was what looks like Campbell was going to be boxing in the beginning and just doing well against Parra, decided to slug with him. And Parra landed a lot of great clean shots. Campbell had his moments too. Great back and forth little war, this one. You got to say that the overtime boxing matchmaking, they really knocked it out of the park on this one.
Oh, they absolutely did. I've become a big fan of overtime boxing, the OTX, and I sort of laughed at it first when I saw DAZN had it on the Friday night. But promoter Brandon Rhodes, there are a few gimmicks, like you win an OTX WBC belt and this kind of bullshit. But basically, the way it works is if you knock someone out in the first round, you get a bonus. If you knock someone out in the final round, you get a bonus. And if it's a draw after the 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever the fight is scheduled for, you go into this overtime round. That's where the overtime boxing comes. So they just fight for another 3 minutes, basically, to decide a winner. And as Matty said there, Javon Campbell, there was a bit of confusion in the Wellington household, with me anyway, what was going on here. Because Javon Campbell, as he's called on BoxRec, was referred to as Javon Woodard Jr. on the DAZN card. So I was wondering who on earth, if this was the same guy. Apparently it is. And Lorenzo Parra, there was a Lorenzo Parra back in the day at flyweight and superfly. Very good fighter, actually. I'm assuming this must be his son. He's 28, from Venezuela as well. The original Lorenzo is about 45 now, so it all adds up for him being his son. I didn't hear the commentary team mention that. Anyway, after 8 rounds, Woodard or Campbell, whatever you want to call him, looked $1 million early on. They were saying he was originally signed by Floyd, did a lot of work in the money team gym, and then, as Floyd tends to do, notoriously matches his fighters hard early on, and this guy got a loss in his second fight and eventually drifted away from Mayweather, and he signed up with this Brandon Rhodes. Mayweather-esque, the way his style was, the shoulder roll, very fast. First 2 or 3 rounds, I thought he actually looked pretty good. But then, as Matty mentioned, the legs got tired. He wasn't able to stand. He wasn't able to move as much as he could, and he was standing in the pocket a lot more, and that was when Parra started landing the shots. And I thought by the end of it, Parra had done enough. They went to the final round. Then I thought maybe Woodard might have done enough, but he didn't. Parra got the final round and won it. So scores of 86-85 to Woodard, stroke Campbell, and 86-85 the other way to Parra. So he managed to get the win. That's that fight, Matty. If you want me to comment on the other fights, I absolutely can. But I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good, and I found myself getting invested because, every week in August they've done a show. They're doing another one next week as well. And so we haven't kind of seen the same fighters coming back and forward just yet, but we see them at ringside. Elijah Pierce, who knocked out Mike Planier last week, was at ringside with his OTX belt. It's the same commentary team. So you kind of have that element of familiarity. So and Lupe Contreras, who I think is one of the best MCs in the business, was on the mic as well. And whenever they said, we're going to the first overtime round, I felt myself getting pumped up. Like, I thought, this is brilliant, man. The crowd were going wild. And at home, me sitting with my laptop, I was thinking, this is...
it's like a dodgeball. the overtime dodgeball. It's the most exciting event.
Sad bastard, man. I thought it was a gimmick and all, but I was getting thoroughly invested. Anyway, that was a really good fight. In the main event, Kurt Scooby, 13-0 with 11 knockouts. He's a real all-action come-forward fighter. He was a American footballer, a linebacker, or something of that nature, and he was fighting against a Spaniard who was unbeaten, Narciso Carmona. He was a runner, southpaw, very tall and lanky, 6 foot tall. Scooby managed to just chop him down. He was very tall for 140, Carmona. He got stopped in the 6th round. Javier Zamaron was on the card as well. Very good amateur, Golden Gloves champion in 2021. Went in against Sebastian Santiago, dropped him in the first round, thought it was going to be a cakewalk. Santiago came back and gave him a good run for his money. D'Angelo Hopgood, again, very tall for the weight. He was a super bantamweight, 5'9", in against Hawaii's Asa Stevens, who was 5'5", so there was a big sort of differential in the height there. Stevens is one to watch, apparently. He's signed by David McWhorter. He's only 22. Again, another good amateur as well. And finally, there was another one on the... Oh, yeah, I haven't even mentioned Money Powell. That was probably the weakest fight on the card, notwithstanding the prospects and all. As in for
thought
action.
the cards were a little wide too. I mean, it was a boring fight, kind of hard to score because you can kind of zone out of it. But it was, it wasn't with the action flow of the rest of the card, for sure.
Yeah, I did the zone out of it a bit. I thought Money Powell was going to get the win, but McCalman, he wasn't great. But as the commentary team was saying, Algeria was very good on the mic. McCalman just had this awkward style, and slight movements was setting Powell off. Every time Powell got his feet set, McCalman would be able to dip off to the side or just take a step back. And Powell then was reluctant to throw. His corner team kept saying, look, you're not throwing enough shots here. You need to be throwing more. And McCalman won the fight by virtue of Powell not really doing enough, in my opinion, Matty. I don't think McCalman went out and grabbed the fight. And as you said, the scores were quite wide. I thought it was narrow, but maybe McCalman just about won it. But definitely Campbell, Power, and then the Scooby fight were the fights of the night for me.
Yeah, I think coming out of that, I mean, Para, I mean, he's an interesting guy. I mean, those Venezuelan dudes that come in there throwing it, I mean, they're anyone's guess sometimes. But so I think he might be an interesting guy to watch going down. But I think Scooby was probably the highlight of that for me. If you're just talking like the most skillful guy that I think that I saw on the card there.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good card there, and we also, Steve, come there. Andy, I don't know if you caught this one, but we also had another card on DAZN at the same damn time, which makes perfect sense. But I'm sure you watched it at your leisure. But it was headlined by Madeira versus Bravo. Which was a fairly interesting fight. I thought on that one, Steve. I think Madeira, he's given like fighters like Brandon Lee a hell of a hard time in there, and again against Nestor Bravo going in there and showing some good stuff in there. He's got a few moves. He's a good puncher. All in all, I thought that this was a pretty decent main event. That was actually fairly close at times, if not necessarily on the cards.
Yeah, it was a decent main event. I must confess, as you have probably gathered, I was gaining boxing fatigue by this point. I caught it this afternoon and had to ramp up the speed and all and go on through it. And I thought Bravo did okay, but then the level of opposition is a lot higher than he's fought before. Ill Will Madeira gave Brandon Lee a great fight, so we can understand that he's come in there as a good opponent. I don't know. I just flicked through it a bit quickly. Two scores, a 96-94 and a 99-91. Bravo moves on, but I think against a more willing opponent to come forward, he might do a little bit better. I was trying to think of what else there was on this card. There were a couple of points of interest, actually. First of all, shout out to Julian Smith. So this guy, he's 7-2 with 4 knockouts. He's called the Quiet Storm. He's from Illinois. And he's a pretty nondescript boxer, but he has quite an interesting story. There he is on the screen, actually. At the end of the fight, then, I hadn't caught up on this during the fight itself or even noticed. He's actually deaf. And the lady was interviewing him after he won the fight, and his coach was signing to him, and he was signing back, and then the coach was saying to the interviewer what he was saying. And so I thought that was, and in between rounds, apparently the cornerman obviously has to sign to him all his instructions, alias the Quiet Storm. And at the end, they called his mom into the ring, and she wasn't deaf, but she was giving him the big up and all. So that was quite a nice little story, Matty. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before. Julian Smith, the Quiet Storm.
I think I had seen him before, and I actually had commented on it because the referee has to be very on jumping in at the end of the round. He's got to be in perfect position. And there was a couple of times he wasn't quite there the first time that I saw the Quiet Storm, but he's an interesting story. I like watching him. He's a quality fighter. I think, I don't think he'll be a world champion, but he's good.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. He's not world championship caliber, but against his opponent, he was 8-2. Julio Rosa, I thought he was a worthy winner. One of the judges gave it even, so it ended up a majority decision. But he'll go a certain way, and he's had a 10-rounder in the past, so he's a good fighter. But I just thought the fact that they were signing to him and all was quite an interesting little aside. Also, one for Bellew of the Week later, so I'm not going to spoil it. So keep listening to Bellew of the Week. MVP Promotions. This was you had Dan Canobio. I think he's on CompuBox. You might see him on Twitter from time to time. Was on the commentary team. A guy called Wade Plemons, is it? Wade, let me just check. This is a UFC guy. Wade Plemons. He was the main commentator. And Paulie Malignaggi, former 2-time world champion. Well, they had a break of about 20 minutes in the middle of this and sacked the sound engineer because he accidentally left the microphones on. And I only had it in the background. I was doing work on the computer and it was flicking along. And every now and again, the sound came back on again. So you could hear these three guys talking between each other. And there's a bit of Bellew of the Week material in that. So I've cut it out for us later on and we'll listen to what they had to say whenever the microphones were on. Only they didn't realise it, Matty. That's what I saw on that one.
Well, and that was a pretty good card. So DAZN, even when they hit, they miss. You gotta love them. On that card, it kicked off with Crystal Rosado, who is Amanda Serrano's first sighting fighter, taking out 1-0 Tarethia Dixon, just kind of beating the shit out of her. Interesting prospect that Rosado is. She really wings them. And Travius Ingram taking on a 0-1 Orlania Licea, and I didn't actually catch this one, but he pulled off the victory in what looks to be a pretty close fight on the card, separated by a point.
It was all right. He was a lot bigger than his opponent again.
Yeah, it looks like there were some knockdowns in there, though, or point deductions, something or other.
Yeah, he knocked your man down in the first round, I think it was. Your guy was one of these fellas who kept on getting himself knocked down, and he was raging with himself. He was like banging the canvas and then jumping up again. Like, I can't believe he get fucking knocked down all the time.
Also, Alexander Rios Vega was undefeated, taking out once defeated Javier Alia. First round stoppage there. Lorenzo Medina taking out also undefeated Antonio Torres in a heavyweight contest in the third round. Julian Smith, majority decision over Julio Rosa. And a fight I actually particularly enjoyed, Steve. Elijah Flores with the majority decision over Elijah Williams in what Chris wasn't Chris on this card. It must have been whoever, one of the commentators rightly called the Elijah off. I liked that name. A majority decision for Elijah Flores over Williams. In what was a really close fight, and the commentators they were kind of all split on it too. Could have gone either way in this 6-round contest. I don't think either guy really walks away with a big L because I'm looking forward to seeing them both again after this one. And then we step into the 10-round contest. I thought honestly the highlight of for the talent end of the card, when I'm thinking this guy might have a pretty high ceiling. Damian Lescal taking a unanimous decision over Hugo Noriega, who's an 8-0 fighter, talented enough in himself. 96, 93, 97, 92, 2 times. I think this is a really talented guy. I can't remember if you said you caught this particular fight on there, but I just saw a lot of talent in this one. I thought they might have been a little too hyping him up, and I could see how someone might be a little put off by it. But there's a certain level of talent here for a guy who's going in there with just 4 professional fights, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Damian Lescal again.
Yeah, he looked decent to him. They were both Cubans as well, and yeah, he definitely had a nice jab and he set up the shots really well. Hurt your guy with a couple of right hands. I was actually quite impressed with him, considering it's only his 4th fight, and continuing with this new tradition of throwing the Cubans in early, and they're a little bit more exciting than their previous generation predecessors.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Noriega was more of the kind of passive Cuban boxer style, but Lescai, I think I think that he is he really came in there with some spite, and he could be an interesting fighter coming down the road there. Honestly, I think as controversial as he is in the ring, I think what he's doing right now as a promoter, I think Jake Paul knocked another one out of the park with this card. I thought it was very well matched and provided a pretty good level of entertainment too.
That's right. I forgot it was him involved. I wonder who his matchmaker is, because obviously he's probably off doing something else. But I wonder who's actually involved in the actual matchmaking side of things.
The matchmakers, it says here, Eric. Nope, that's the wrong one. I'll have to look at that one another time.
Yeah.
But it's whoever they're doing good work. And I was starting to name off the overtime. They're doing good jobs too. I enjoyed these prospect cards from Friday night as much as I've enjoyed many main event Saturday night cards with championship fights on them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, good work by them at DAZN there. Andy, any thoughts on anything that we covered there before we move forward, or are you absent now?
Negative.
Okay.
In every sense.
Absolutely.
He's absent in many ways, but he is present for this. the 536 edition.
Yeah, by the way, I
of
hope
the-
you give Rob Kelly this shit. By I bet Rob's not seen any boxing this weekend. I hope you give him the same fucking lectures.
I believe that Rob opened up for Onyx over the weekend, so he had some cool shit going on.
Yeah, so what? Like, you think I didn't have shit going on?
Yeah, but he had fun things to do.
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
the Wolves match. That wasn't very fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
I watched half the Broncos game, and I took a big road trip to go to a peach festival, and I came back with some produce, and yeah, good time. Saw a friend out there.
Which card was it where they were fighting in the crowd? Not the card. It was like a American football, Andy, or something. They were having a big fight in the crowd.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It was who was the 49ers playing, Matty? Were they playing yesterday?
The Broncos, they're playing up. There's fight there. I only watched the first half. Jesus Christ.
Steve, Steve, I don't know if you can maybe put it up for Value of the Week then, mate, if you want. But anyway, there's a guy there, bullet head, basically, a big baldy guy, just basically takes out the trash, man. Just wipes the guy out about 4 or 5 punches.
Oh.
And you see the guy, like, literally, like, 20 seconds later, trying to get up, man, trying to stand still. Guy's like, he looks like a glue head, basically, he looks like he's fucking on the base.
I was going to cut it, but I thought better of it because in the past we got done for that type of stuff. Being a boxing podcast, YouTube frown upon violence and all that. So
that's bullshit. We should be able to have the War Machine series. It's absolutely fucking
no, we got
bullshit.
done for that one. The War Machine.
It's the fucking last of our worries. Interpol are onto us now. Fuck
exactly. Oh, I've seen that. You're going absolutely ape shit about that. But, that was epic, man. See that fucking War Machine character, fucking ginger top. Oh my god. I love to see him fucking fight professional.
Now, Rob, no more than 3 minutes ago, Andy was opining that you probably had watched no boxing over this weekend. Is this
true, Rob?
I watched a bit. I saw McCann-Baluta. I saw Spider make his debut. I saw somebody knock somebody out in the first round, and not Nathan something, is it? What's his name?
No, Gallimore.
Nathaniel Collins.
That was the one. So I saw quite a bit of action.
Same as me, basically.
I thought the McCann fight was good. I actually give them props for putting McCann in with Baluta because he's a fucking tough operator, and it kind of just bring. I mean, Oz is always way more in tune with the British scene than me, but I kind of listen to the things that he says when he's talking about fighters on the come up and up, and he was really giving Baluta a shot at the bookies. And sometimes when Oz fucking makes those predictions, more often than not, they come true when it's the less favored fighter, and he just sees something. So he almost won in the bookies. And so did Ben. I think Ben from Boxing News as well had also back Baluta. But yeah, I thought maybe McCann was gonna, if he hadn't got the bad cut in the fight and get stopped on cuts, I thought he was in danger of losing that fight. But it's a rematch I'd like to see. It's kind of a fight I didn't give a fuck about either way until it started, and then it caught fire. So yeah, I thought that was good. I didn't see the Pattinson one, and I didn't see anything from the States if there was anything on the States.
You missed some good stuff from the States, Rob. That's sad. But anyways, you had your own stateside entertainment this weekend, so alas, we'll move on. Let's hit the good old chat here, see who's rocking around. Let's see here. Steve posting on both accounts. Sneaky little bastard. I wonder if he's liking on both accounts.
No, that was my mistake. I did a call in with Danny Young on the Nutters, and it made me log into the chat as myself, and now I'm not able to log out for some reason. So sorry about that.
I tell you, I think it's all a scam. Let's see here. Mark Stanton in there. Matt Butters in there. I believe Matt's still leading the prediction lead. I haven't not seen the updated results, but I know he picked the McCallum, as did I. So, nobody picked the draw in the Baluta fight. So that was a shame. Let's see here. M. Lithgow in there as well. Jim McDonald boxing. Let's see here. We got Welchmers in there. Michael Thompson. Yimmy Yappy in there. Johnny, get ready to start that talk show career. Sad Ken. He's here, though. So right now he's happy Ken. James G. Let's see here. Just James, number 1 as well. He'll never be number 2. Let's see here. Let's find one more. There's got to be one more. Cedric Sniff in there as well. Thank you to everyone else in there. If I didn't scroll up high enough to see your name amidst the chat, I do apologize on that end. Oh, ABC in there as well. the wonderful ABC. So we thank everyone in there. We thank all of our Patreons. We are about only God, I think we got 5 more weeks, maybe 6 more weeks of picks left in this edition of the Prediction League. So if you're looking to maybe get into the next one and you're not yet part of our Patreon, go ahead, join up, and we'll get you in the WhatsApp
I'm coming back
group.
for the next one. Just enjoying retirement right now, but I'm coming back for half a billy.
Yeah, I believe you, Rob. But we're I know you want to say something. But we got a new one starting in October. I think should be. I think the first one might actually be Wood Warrington for the final season of this year's Prediction League. So if you want to join in on that, get with the Patreon, and we'll make all that happen.
And if you win this one, you can't be the lineal Boxing Asylum and others Prediction League champion because you haven't beat the man to beat the man. Do you know what I mean? I had to take out Wellings, and I'm holding the lineage at the moment until I'm back active.
What are you, Vitali in 2007?
But you've been retired a year, Rob, so that's a vacant.
Is this shit? Fuck it.
Rob can keep hold of his title these days, can't you? Being inactive for a good 18 months, don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like the Charlos when it comes to the fucking Asylum.
Champion emeritus. Swear to God. Oz is doing all right at the beginning. He's doing a little bit of slipping. Steve holding in there. Shockingly, I, among the Boxing Asylum crew, am in the lead. I'm shocked as everybody else. I'm sure that's going to collapse before you know it. But anyways, I think it might be worth discussing. And Steve, I don't know if there's a question in the chat regarding this, but I think it might be worth discussing Alicia Baumgardner's failed PED test stemming from her fight against Christina Linnard-Datu in July. They did not get the test results back until after the fight, apparently. We are still waiting. But this kind of black eye on women's boxing, unfortunately there, Rob. Your girl there was kind of building up a star outside of the sport. This puts it kind of all at risk right now. And it'll be interesting to see. Well, it'll be interesting to see, Rob, if she's treated differently, this being a high profile with a woman than we've seen the men treated recently.
Well, look, I've said this many, many times, Matty. I'm on record for saying this. I believe if you're found guilty for using PEDs, you should be banned for life, mate. There should be no comeback. You should be banned for life unless I know them. And I don't know Baumgardner, but I feel like I know her, and she's looking innocent to me from where I am. I think this has all been a big misunderstanding. And she obviously fucking wouldn't cheat. Just a wholesome athlete. And I wish everybody would fucking get off her. She's just that girl, y'all. She, as she's been saying on Twitter over the last 24 to 48 hours, campaigning for herself and her own innocence. And everybody knows she was about to sign a big lucrative deal with Jake Paul, Logan Paul, John Paul, one of the guys. So she was on her way out of Matchroom, and they, as Frank Warren said, draw your own conclusions as to what's happened here, why this girl has popped hot using drug-free sport, who don't fucking catch any come, by the way, in boxing.
You actually seen the Matchroom set her up.
Matchroom, it's clear as day, Andy. I've fucking put the pieces together here
to
for the
stop
listeners.
The Serrano super fight. You very well could be right, Rob.
Stop the Serrano super fight that she was going to make behind her backs with Jake Paul. She now sit out her inactivity. I didn't say that. That's a rumor flying around, didn't it? Jessica McCaskill was the first one to suggest that, and then Frank Warren has reinforced it. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
Even Ed.
There, Michael Thompson says Alicia is one of the lads.
I just know she's a hard-working athlete. I know how hard she works, and I just don't think she'd do it. But then again, I thought Obanov was going to be found innocent. So don't take my word for it. I think they're all on fucking something, aren't they? And like the shit's all very ambiguous when it comes to testing agencies and bad credit. Like, I'd be talking about shit like as if I know what the fuck I'm talking. I don't have a fucking clue what I'm talking about when it comes to PEDs. I just read the shit online the same as everybody else, and I draw my own conclusions. Sometimes I look at fighters and I think juice to the max just by looking at them. And then oftentimes they'll pop down the line or whatever, and you'll go, I knew it. With Baumgartner, there was the suspicions. Yeah, probably. Are they all on something? Yeah, definitely. Are some of the things banned? Like, here's my way of looking at it. Like, and it's the same for fucking Connor fucking Hen or fucking Dillian Shite, whoever you want to say it. Like, they're all on fucking something. Like, some of the shit's on the ban list, some of it isn't on the ban list, but whatever they're on is all giving them a boost. Like, so there's corners that they're cutting. I don't think all these fucking supplements and all are wholesome. They're all given different edges. It just so happens that some of them are legal, some of them are illegal. They're getting benefits from all of them. And it's a pity for her because she was building a bit of a profile for herself. She's going to make a few quid. And now, unless she comes up with the kind of fucking Canelo excuse where, you know, she was eating fucking tacos or something and there was male EPO in the fucking tacos. I don't know what the fucking excuse is going to be, but unless she kind of plays a Canelo PR move, makes this go away, you'd be looking at her sitting out a ban, which is a pity for her. What I would note is Michaela Mayer has been classing all this because I'm
glad I'm not on Twitter because I bet Michaela is going off.
No. She actually hasn't mentioned it at all. So she hasn't
really
chosen to kick her when she's down.
Why is that
so
then?
far.
I wonder.
Don't know. Yeah, don't know. Maybe she's fucking doesn't want to speak too soon. But apparently, AB, not Adrian Broner, of course. AB requested VADA testing for this fight herself and didn't get it. So I don't know what that fucking means.
I don't know. Someone actually posted a picture of like when she was like maybe 8 or 9, maybe 10 or whatever, and that looking quite hench then, and using that, saying look, she was naturally muscular and all that type of stuff, but it's like 20 years later, it doesn't account for the fact that she failed the drugs test 20 years later, you know. So she's guilty, Rob. Let's just get it here.
Look, we're all guilty of something. Give her another chance. That's all I'm saying.
Of course.
Well, this ball will, don't worry.
No, I'm honestly bummed because Steve, I thought that, I mean, yeah, I know you're not a huge women's fight fan, but the big ones you can get up for a little bit. I thought that her and Serrano for all the belts at 130 pounds was a very interesting fight, and they were in the process of kind of making that one happen. It's a disappointment to me on that end for sure.
Yeah, you don't know what to say now at this stage. Just every time you hear the tests coming back and so-and-so's popped dirty and so-and-so's popped and you just think to yourself, here we go again. And what's the excuses going to be? Are they going to sell them out? I love the conspiracy theories that are coming out. Was it McCaskill? She's up for Belly of the Week. She came out on one of the boxing podcasts. I think it was the Boxing Voice, saying that there may be Matchroom or something were responsible. I'm not really sure the ins and outs of it, but they were she was alluding to the fact that there was something going on there, and then she had to put a groveling apology in to sort of walk this back as well. Eddie and the whole thing, is it Jugs Free Sport or Clean Sport or something, this company? I said it in the Nutters group again. It's as if Eddie's going to come up with his own testing company soon, isn't he? You know, we'll keep it all in-house. We'll test everybody ourselves and any findings come back to us. And I think the most worrying thing I'll say is, and everyone else has said the same thing as well, when they try to cover it up and we say, oh, so-and-so fought on August the 10th and they found out about the dirty test 2 weeks before that, but they covered it up and it's now come out for whatever reason after the event. I think that's the most concerning things, isn't it? The fact that whoever it is, Eddie or whoever's involved,
shows fucking fighter safety is like the last of their concern.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they just want to keep it going.
That drug-free sport I was reading apparently do the NFL, the NBA, maybe even the National Hockey League as well, possibly. I mean, they didn't catch a lot of guys, really, did they? And Eddie talking about in-house testing, I mean, that's going to be some fucking crack. Can you imagine if they do an in-house test, something pops positive, we're going to get, impartiality here, we're going to get told, or we're going to get reported. At the end of the day, what happens if someone does pop positive? You can't do nothing. You can't ban them. You know what I'm saying?
To be fair, Andy, sorry, Eddie didn't say that. I said that's the next thing he's going to be saying. They're going to
he did say it.
He's been
saying it. Yeah, he wanted to bring in his own Matchroom testing pool. And if you want to be promoted by Matchroom, then you have to be in the testing pool. But I kind of want him to do it just for the fact that for when the first fighter actually pops, that Tony Bellew has to stick to his word and come out and say, ban him for life. Ban him for life, he's guilty.
I didn't know that then. So my satire was accurate, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah, he's been at this for the last couple of weeks since the
okay.
I'm definitely on the side of things that I've said before, like Rob, I think they're all like with you. I think pretty much all of them are on it to some degree or another. Some have
See, the
better
thing is,
teams that are
sorry, man.
better with hiding stuff. And it would just be better if there was some way to do it in the open, because I do think that regardless of what you're putting in your body, I think the level of effort that you put in and how hard you're willing to work at the gym, the life that you're willing to live away from the ring, I think that all of that does matter at the end of the day. So if basically all of them are on it, just accept it and you just kind of go from there. So I don't know. Don't see any. Go ahead, Andy.
I was just going to say, see the substance that Dillian White got caught for. Apparently, it only got approved March this year, so it shows you, they're on to the next one. You know, and I don't know if anybody noticed it, Rob. I don't know if you noticed me saying it in WhatsApp and that. I just kind of like flippantly said he's been caught for something new. Apparently, or someone has said that, and I said that it's probably some sort of blood booster, because the EPO stuff is generally next generation stuff. They're always looking to like improve it, microdose that type of stuff. And lo and behold, that's exactly what it was, EPO. So some sort of blood booster that he's been taking apparently. So it's only just recently been approved.
Yeah, but what's up? What's the crack? What's the crack with his dogs? Do they need any fucking EPO? We don't know, so don't fucking jump to conclusions. I don't know, man. The Hulk and old sport is fucking at it, like, but it's a fucking shocker for Eddie with like, obviously now you know we correctly predicted he'd throw Dillian White under the bus, and now all of a sudden he doesn't represent him, even though they were on a fight by fight deal for his last fucking 10 fights, and basically was involved in every fight he's had on television, bar the one with Fury, but now he's on his own. But fucking Eddie, and then there's a weird kind of fucking dynamic being created online with all these kind of people who were saying, yeah, well, Eddie's fighters are popping because he does more testing, as if Eddie's fucking demanding the fucking drug test himself, sitting at home wanting more tests. Like, it's a fucking weird one.
Well, what is it? What's the saying, Matty? That it's easier to fool someone than convince them they've been fooled. Isn't that true in boxing?
Sure. There's no incentive for these guys to really have their fighters in testing, man, because then they wouldn't have any fights. It's all backward shit. And it's just a shame, because it seems like every week we're talking about this, right? Every single week there's someone who's popped, or at least once a month at the very least. What Dillian White was last week, the week before. It's
what I feel for the most in it? Zolani Tete, because that cunt got a 4-year ban. Nobody gives a fuck about him. He's not like, he hasn't got
Liam Cameron are going to be sitting somewhere.
Instagram profile, that motherfucker's out to dry. They're like, guilty. Get the fuck out. 4 years.
Liam Cameron are off sitting.
You know, you're shit out of luck, mate. You've no promoter with fucking financial muscle. But I see Eddie was saying yesterday, or maybe a couple of days ago, that they're expecting Conor Bennett to be back in the ring in September. Well, nobody in this country probably. And there's a rumour going about as well. He's apparently got an American license, possibly. So at the end of the day, the board will still need to kind of like pass that, I would imagine. Surely, or I don't know if the board might get on the commission in America and say they're not going to accept it. I don't know, but fuck it.
He's just saying anything at this point, isn't he? He said fucking with a dead straight face immediately.
He's repeating himself in a lot of his interviews these days. He's cleared.
As far as I can see, all he really does is talk about the Conor Benn drug situation and then talk about fighters on other promoters' fucking rosters. Like, he hasn't really got a whole lot of fucking DAZN Matchroom content to cover, has he? Like, he seems to be either defending a drug cheat or he's talking about fighters on other cards. Like, but he said with a dead straight face after the AJ Helenius fight that Prince Khalid is locked in. They're making Deontay Wilder in December. That fight's happening next. AJ is going straight to Deontay Wilder. And now what happened? That fight's not fucking happening. Yeah, that fight's not happening. So he's just fucking saying anything at this stage, isn't it? Like, it's bandwidth he needs to take up. Like,
2 weeks away, Cougs. 2 weeks away. Oh, evening, Cougs. So he's listening in as well.
Well, I guess if there's no questions, Steve, we can move on there. Hamed did have a comment there. He said, Top Rank and Golden Boy are doing VADA. That argument is a deflection to attack the PBC. Although it's true, PBC are not transparent. These Matchroom fans are hypocrites. Yeah, sure. I don't expect anybody to be straight in boxing. That's for fucking sure. They're all on the edge.
Usyk Mac.
Not in that sense. Yeah, Jesus. Anyways, let's go and we'll go with start Wednesday. There's a few things happening around. I don't want to say there's nothing going on before Saturday. That would be a lie. On Wednesday, that'd be let's see here. I think you guys would be catching this around lunch here. It'd be too early for me to want to wake up. Liam Wilson returning to the ring after his war with Navarrete, and he's going in with the undefeated Argentine Carlos Maria Alanis, who's 12-0, only 4 stoppages to his credit. So if anyone has a chance, you might want to check that out in Australia. See,
Matty, Nikita's Hughes on the undercard as well against Jack Brewbreaker, who is a decent gatekeeper. Hughes only 6-0, so that's a good step up as well. And Luke Jackson, who once fought Carl Frampton in Windsor Park, is also on that card.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Lots of entertainment from Oz. Andy, were you saying something?
No, I was just going to say what Steve said there, Luke Jackson.
All right.
Ask him about his amateur record again.
What's his amateur record?
Luke Jackson. You need to ask him that question. He was trying to wind up Carol Frampton about amateur records that when they were talking about when they were fighting each other in the build-up. Can't remember exactly what it was about, but
fought in the Olympics, didn't he, Jackson?
I think so. And it was like I went to the Olympics and Carol, you didn't, and it was like, what the fuck is that got to do with anything? It's a pro fight now, mate. So. Can't believe he put me ages here now. Actually, Luke Jackson. In fact, when did the last fight?
Not sure. He fought in. Oh, hang on. No, I've got his amateur record up. That's not much use, is it? He fought in February. No, June. Sorry, of May 2022. So he's been out for over a year.
And then after that, it was 2 years before Christ, so no offered much. I didn't expect much out. No.
Well, you never know. Some of these fights can be good. Liam Wilson. I mean, if this Alanis guy can take a punch, we know that Liam Wilson will be in there to bang. And you never know how a guy looks coming off of a loss, especially a brutal war such as the one that he had with Navarrete. So we will certainly see.
He showed a lot, didn't he, in that fight? He can definitely come again. He showed an awful lot. He hurt Navarrete, dropped him. There was the long count. I still maintain to this day, I'm not going to go over it again, the scales were dodgy. He got cheated a bit in that one. So I have a lot of time for Liam Cameron whenever his name pops up.
Yeah, absolutely. Liam Wilson's a good fighter.
I've got that much time for him. I've got the wrong name. So
it's all good. It's all good. Thursday morning, Wednesday night for me. You guys can either catch on if you got a subscription or wander over to the YouTube for the free stuff. Got a decent little Pro Box card going on this week. Gonna have a 13-2 with 32 knockouts. Venezuelan Johan Gonzalez going in there against somebody that looks to be dismantling. Then we're gonna have a 135-pound scrap between American Justin Paldo, 15-7 with 1 defeat. He also had a no contest against Austin Dulé when was up on 2 of the cards. He's going to be going in against undefeated 12-0 Mexican Leonardo Ruiz, 8 stoppages to his credit. Oh, excuse. Yep. Sorry, I was looking at a different guy. Sorry, Paldo going in against Leonardo Ruiz, who is 14-2. My apologies. And he has lost to Mauricio Lara and Angel Fierro. Interestingly enough, this card going to be headlined 13-0, 1 to draw to his credit. Dominican Raul Garcia going in against 12-0 Mexican. There you go. I forgot to write down his name, of course. So I sucked. I forgot to write down somebody's name.
You're not going to be promoting Pro Box anymore after this week.
Oh goddamn, Steve! I'm writing down notes and then something like I'm watching my girlfriend's dog over the weekend. So it's been quite the fucking juggling act over here. But anyways, this is a fight between undefeated fighters headlining this Pro Box card. And it does look to be an interesting potential couple of scraps here. That Dominican, I feel like I've seen him in that draw for some reason, but he's got 11 KOs to his credit, certainly can bang. So that'll be a decent one. Then there's going to be a Friday night DAZN card headlined by Lorenzo Simpson against Vladimir Hernandez. You might remember Hernandez. He went on a little run at 154. They're coming out of nowhere, beating Alfredo Angulo and Julian Williams, yeah.
That's the latest
Where's
overtime
the
card, Daddy.
girlfriend gone when you have the dog? By the way,
She has a work assignment today. She has a work assignment actually. Yeah. No, yeah, it's I'm fully preparing for her to fall in love up there with the with the former football player that she's onboarding at her
you're a
job.
toast man. Just feed the dog.
Right? Yeah, she's such a sweetheart. Yeah, and he's probably dealt with all sorts of like bitchy women. So like, yeah. So yeah, I hope they enjoy their new life together. I wish them the best. But
at least you got a dog out of it.
No. If that's the case, she's gonna have to come and get this fucking dog. I like him and everything, but I ain't gonna deal with this.
Onboarding, Matty. Is that what the kids call it these days?
Oh, good times. Yeah, they call it many things. Them and their slang, Steve. These damn kids. I tell you what. But I bet there's a couple. On Saturday, before we get to the meat of the discussion here, there is going to be a DAZN card happening that's going to be headlined, Andy, by Oscar Caiazo, who has looked pretty damn decent in his recent appearances in the ring, going in against Garin Diagen, who is 10-3. I mean, minimum weight. There's only so many of them. But a decent little fighter. Looks like he took out an undefeated fighter in his most recent. But man, I expect him to kind of get wiped out unless they're hiding something there, because that Collazo, man, he's a slick fighter. Notice I'm saying Collazo because I think after all these years of saying Luis Collazo, we were actually all wrong, because 2 L's back to back in Spanish, it's not an L sound. So I think Luis was just being nice to us. Like when a person will tell you their last name, it's pronounced Nguyen. No, it's Win, you white fuck. Anyways,
I hate it when they do things like that. They do that in the football as well. And did you remember Paolo One Chop? And then halfway through his derby career, they started calling him Paolo One Chop. Hey, I'm not a fan of that change in surname.
Wank happy.
JJ Okocha, and you had to call him JJ or something like that. Eh? remember it was it John Motson? He used to I can't remember if it was the Nigerian players. They had to call like that was their surname actually came first or something like that. But like how the Chinese do it. And somebody asked him, says, "Why is that?" It says, Motson just straight died. Just says, "That's just the way it is."
There you go.
Fucking used to know this Nigerian guy, and I used to think he was a bit of a bullshitter, like, because the stories were all like just fucking so far out, like outlandish shit. One day he's telling me anyway, like, that he was in school with Nwanko Kanu and JJ Okocha, and that they were all three of them played like under whatever age for Nigeria. And I was like, yeah, all right, pal, grand. Like, and he just kept talking, and next minute he pulled out the photograph of him and the two boys. They're all in the fucking. I was like, oh shit, this guy is really telling the truth.
That's a great story.
Yeah. And then fucking the girl that was in the apartment,
fucking pencil.
Yeah, and Kanu was supposed to be a right tight get with the money. Like, when he used to bring his friends over to the house for a Chinese takeaway, he'd get like the full 3 courses, and he just give. Now, don't fucking take my word for this. This is just what I heard. Like, I don't know. Kanu could be a very generous guy, but apparently, like, if he had Chinese at his house, he'd have the main course. He just let everybody else have rice. And he was dating this stripper, and she wanted to, like, fucking, she hit him for money for the rent. She was going to get evicted, and he was like, nah, get evicted. Like, fuck that shit. 20 grand a week. Fuck that. Keep that in the pocket. You never know, rainy days. So.
He made everybody eat rice. He sounds like a Southeast Asian dictator. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Matty. I feel like I derailed us somewhere there.
Where were we? What were we talking about?
He ain't no soft ass shit, that one, eh?
No, Kanu's had his names back.
He's £500 for rent. Fuck you, bitch. Get evicted.
I will take the blame for starting this ADD train, but I think everybody fucking hopped aboard. Choo-choo.
I think I do.
It was Oscar Collazo we're talking about, but we're talking about his pronunciation. So is it Oscar Collazo?
Collazo.
Collazo.
Right. Well, I can guarantee this way, like, going forward, my Scottish ass ain't going to be fucking Collazo. It'll be fucking Collazo going fucking forward, right? I hate I was watching the German game on the telly on Friday night, and this Scottish guy does a commentary. And obviously he speaks
Getting
German,
back
right?
on track here, right?
I know, but these fuckers who pushed in these pronunciations on you, man. It's not your fault we don't speak your lingo and we can't fucking say it properly. So just leave it as Colazo.
Seems like we have quite the debate going on opposite sides here, Steve. You going with the more worldly belief that you would want to know the pronunciation of somebody's name from the get-go correctly and respect that. And Andy's saying, no, I just want to anglicize everything. I demand convenience.
Colquhoun.
Alim Hanule, Alim Hanalula, Matty. There's another one, as Joe Kennedy says in the chat.
Alim Hanala.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not having that one.
Brian King actually put a tweet out of a guy who's some way involved in boxing. I don't know the guy's name. I've never seen him before, but it's like he retweeted it. But it's like 2-minute highlights of him butchering fighters' names and pronunciations. Is fucking unbelievable. He's just like calling fellas fucking. You know, the usuals or whatever, but he called Richard Comey, and I was like, shit, that's what I call Richard Comey. What's he really called? I don't know. Fuck.
B2B, Rob.
Oh, that's the other one.
B2B.
I know you.
I know you.
Remember, it's not Alexander Usyk, it's actually Alexander.
Hey, so Andy, how about that Oscar Collazo?
Oscar Collazo, yeah, good fighter. Done magnificent against that Jerusalem dude. I think he will probably dominate round about that weight class unless he is packing a bag of glass, as you say. But so anyway, see him. He's only 7-8 pro fights. Stay on the right.
Yeah, sharp fighter, man. I mean, he
is.
punches with both hands. He finds openings really well. Doesn't seem to force anything too much. He could be around for a while. He's one of those lower weight fighters that we should definitely be keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, he could definitely dominate. Again, it's just at this point, it's just experience to get the pro fights under his belt, few defenses, and hopefully get some unifications. As in terms of ceilings, I don't know really because again, there's only a few pounds between weight divisions at that level, but you would think anyway that if he's still running about 15, 16, I would probably see him put 108 at some point. I'm just kind of looking at the two rankings just now to see what we've got in terms of fights, but there's nothing that many listeners would actually know, to be fair. To be honest, nobody I know either as well, because as I say, these rankings, it's like fucking he hit F5, mate, and it's fucking changing within the week, because boys move up in weight, guys retire, no active. So, Alex, I mean, you can literally look at the minimum weight rankings 1 week, and you can go back the next week, and there was somebody totally different in there. I mean, some of these names I'm looking at just now, I just have not heard of before.
Matty, I don't have much to add on this, but I can add something very quickly. I don't know if you've got this, excuse me, this show on your list or not for next Saturday evening. Tom Loeffler, people might remember him from the Gennady Golovkin fame and obviously the Superfly on HBO. He's doing work on UFC Fight Pass now, and he's got a guy, Callum Walsh, 7-0, 6 knockouts, originally from Cork, now based in Hollywood. Trains under Freddie Roach. He's got a big step up for a 7-0 fighter, going in against a guy called Juan Jose Velasco. He's an Argentine guy. He's been in with Regis Prograis, went quite a few rounds, got knocked out early by Mario Barrios. A good shock win over Zachary Ochoa, knocked out by Elvis Rodriguez. And in his last fight, fought for the IBA middleweight title, vacant, surprisingly, in Romania against Flavius Bay. But he's a tough enough guy.
Everything about that sounds prestigious, Steve.
IBA title in Romania against Flavius Bay. Fucking hell. This guy's hit the big time.
But before that auspicious attempt, he was fighting good guys, and like I said, Ochoa beat Ochoa. He was a bit of a prospect at one point. But the fact that they're putting Walsh in at 7-0, and I've seen Walsh before, he can definitely punch, puts his shots together lovely. And UFC
doesn't bode well for him though.
Fight Pass.
It does. His name is Callum, innit? Callum's don't fucking, you know what I mean? They got a ceiling, don't they? Everyone called Callum has a ceiling. It's not fucking good. But best of luck to him.
Best of luck to him until he hits that ceiling, Matty. But he's on the Tom Loeffler show week anyway. And there's a guy, Jimmy Hogan, I think he's from Boston, of Irish descent. He fights on those cards. He's not on this one. I think he's called Jimmy Hogan or Horgan or something like that.
But his fucking fan base are unbearable, by the way. Fucking hell.
Oh, it's so.
He's got the fucking worst fan base ever. Oh, fuck's sake.
Some characters go into the ring last time, but yeah, UFC Fight Pass, Matty, if you want to catch that one.
I just can't handle another subscription, Steve.
They probably wouldn't show it anyway.
Finally fucking the strain is too much now for Matty. He's got too many fucking irons in the fire when it comes to subscriptions.
Rob, you weren't here earlier though, were you?
I've said this long before, man. You know, you haven't fucking all these subscriptions to watch the the sports and the teams that you actually watch or follow, and that over 5 or 6 different subs. Nah, man. Enough's enough, Matty. Time to join the revolution team stream.
Oh, there's Callum, Rob. He says F you, Rob. He's only got one L to his name.
See what I mean? You see what I mean there? Look at that banter, like it's decent, but it has a ceiling, doesn't it? Like,
oh man. Well, anyhow, what we're really looking forward to, guys, is got a pretty decent card here. Let's work our way up. At the card in Poland, obviously headlined by Mr. Alexander Usyk against Daniel Dubois. Always dangerous, always vulnerable, though. But there's a fair amount of decent fights on this one between some undefeated fighters. As you go through it, you kicking off with undefeated fighters in there. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names though, for the love of God. There's only so many I can go. Let's go. We have 5-0 Nursultan Amanzolov taking on 3-0 Lazavek Mulajanov. I think I got that one. Then you got Vasil Sabatari going against what has to be the fucking corpse of Joel Julio. Good God. I can't believe he's still fighting. This will be his 57th pro fight. Good for Mr. Julio there. Oh, my God. Still going along. Then we start getting into the meat of it. Let's see here. We got undefeated Fyodor Sarkisian taking on Anuel Ingamasengwe. Yeah, that was a fun one right there. And then we also have, let's see here, Dmitrio Mitrofanov against Hamza Shiraz. I think that actually was an interesting one as I looked at that one. Mitrofanov, he has a pretty decent amateur background, I do believe. Then we got Dennis Baranchek, still undefeated, amazingly, against Anthony Yiggett, coming back again. I tell you what, that's there's some decent things on the undercard as you pick through it a little bit, but you got a lot of undefeated guys on there. Honestly, Andy, pick and choose. Not the worst undercard for a heavyweight title fight in Poland. Not bad.
Yeah, it's okay, I suppose. I'm trying to kind of like. I can agree with the kind of Mitrofanov against Hamza Shiraz might be decent enough, both undefeated. I don't know if it's in order, but the way I'm looking at it anyway, if it's going to be the Baranchik Yiggett is going to be chief support. I think Yiggett's at this point now is done. He's had an okayish career. You know, he's always been running about the kind of title scene or the kind of fringe world level. So, but I think after the defeat in his last, I don't think it was his last fight actually, but the knockout defeat that he got against what was his name? Keyshawn Davis. Actually, I think that kind of proved to me at that point that was that his better days were behind him. Actually, so if it is chief support, I'm expecting Baranchik will win. Don't know if he'll win by stoppage. It's usually quite durable, decent enough, but again, I just don't know what he's got left. So wouldn't be surprised to see Baranchik get a stoppage in that fight. That Daniel Lapin, I've seen him before. Actually, I'm sure he's been on some of the Usyk undercards before. He's fucking massive for the weight. He's like 6'8" or something like that. Absolutely lanky as anything. I think he's like a light heavy, possibly a cruiserweight. I don't know what he is, but I know he's massive. He's tall. I don't know anything about the guy he's fighting, but I suspect your man here will probably win by decision. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, it'll pass the time. I'll definitely tune in at this one, possibly. Most of what I can anyway, depending on the kids. But yeah, it's all about the main event, I suppose, isn't it?
More or less, I think. Rob, did you hear anything that you thought was interesting on there other than probably just giggling at my attempt at pronouncing these names?
Well, the whole time that you were discussing that undercard, I was thinking about the time I'm going to say by not watching it. So I'm hoping that the main event is going to be on slightly earlier because they're an hour ahead in Poland. These are the things that was going through my head. I was like, what the fucking time am I going to have to sit through all this shit? And then I was like, start thinking about the potential production on a heavyweight contest in Poland. There's going to be a lot of heavy metal, maybe a lot of flames. But hopefully we get the main event done by around 10.
Well, it's a heavyweight contest in Poland, so it'll probably come on Thursday. So, anyhow, I am. I am kind of. Is that
who's airing this in America, by the way, Matty? Just out of curiosity.
It's going to be on ESPN Plus.
ESPN.
Yeah. Steve, did you see hear anything on the undercard that you thought was interesting?
I heard you trying to pronounce the names. That was quite interesting. Let me see.
I made that joke when you were peeing.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Self-deprecating humor is great.
Shakashin?
In fairness, it was better when Steve said it. It was much funnier.
Sarkeesian, Steve. I got you there, buddy. Sarkeesian.
Yeah. He fought Nathaniel Gallimore, didn't he, on the PBC card? I haven't seen much of him since Espada. I don't remember that fight. Yeah, he's okay. He's a decent enough fighter. Don't know about his opponent, Daniel Lapan. I recognise that name, actually. Yeah, he's either the Swedish one. Looks like he's about 8 years old. Absolutely, he is.
That's that big tall guy, mate. He's about 6'8" or something. I was saying to the guys there. Big lanky dude for the weight.
I'm trying to think when I saw him fighting before. Has he fought
I think
anybody?
he's got a big man. I think he's got like a kind of skinhead as such, but then he's got the hair over the top and he's got like the ponytail. Or he's had it that way before.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Mad Usyk type characters.
There he is there on the TV.
He's nothing like that now. Like he's nothing like that now. 6'6".
Yeah.
One knockout. He can't punch very hard, clearly. But anyway, so there's him. Who else have we got as well? Mitrofanov, Denis Berenchik been floating around this. Anthony Yigit, they're recycling him. Decent enough. Adam Hamed's on as well, obviously, Nassim's son. Yeah, I'll watch it. And this will be on, obviously, time-wise, Poland, isn't it? So, yeah, be on before. And as the lead-in for you, Matty, to the Jared Anderson card, I'd imagine.
Yeah, there might even be a chance that there'll be a bigger gap than usual in there, as Rob alluded to, optimistically being in Poland to get another hour there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe you won't have to be up until midnight watching it. Steve.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't drag it out. I mean, it's K2, it's Usyk side that won the bid, so hopefully there's...
Frank Warren, though, in it, man. Bricktop will have a word. Yeah, lads, it's 10 o'clock. What are you doing? Sorry, Frank, we'll put a float on.
Allegedly.
Well, so all of this that the people are so excited for, clearly, is just an appetizer for the main event, which I think might be more interesting than some people think. Alexander Usyk taking on Daniel Dubois. Dubois suffering the only defeat of his career against Joe Joyce. If you remember him getting battered by that jab, suffering a broken orbital bone. But Usyk, not that big. Not that big of a puncher. He is far more athletic than Joe Joyce. He is far more polished. His feet are in every way in the ring, other than just being a big guy with fists the size of a toaster. Usyk, better than Joe Joyce. But all that said, Andy, Dubois, for his flaws, is built a little bit more, swings a little bit more like the guys who have troubled Usyk a little bit. Chisora, of all people, gave him arguably his toughest heavyweight fight, wouldn't you say?
Probably. AJ did a wee bit better in the rematch, I suppose, but the thing with Chisora is he's more durable, I think, than what Dubois is. I mean, we've seen Dubois obviously bail in a fight, obviously broken orbital bone. We've seen him dropped. I've seen him hurt. Okay, he got up off the canvas each time and fought back a bit. I think back to that Kevin Larenya fight. He was badly buzzed, and Larenya's nothing really special when we talk about like say elite talents and that. And again, it just shows you, a professional fighter.
Oh, and another fight where he got an injury too.
Yeah,
different kind of injury, but an injury.
It was a Joe Joyce fight, was it? No, he got broken orbital bone. And he had the knee issue against Larenya.
I thought it was ACL, maybe, was it? Or was it
it was his knee, definitely his knee, because there was definitely word going about he needed surgery and that. And then we were kind of surprised that they were going to press ahead with the mandatory when the Fury fight couldn't get made with Usyk. So hopefully Dubois is 100% fit. Hopefully the knee's good, because he's certainly going to need it, actually, because he's going to have to use his legs at times. To be fair, mate, I'm struggling really to kind of understand what Dubois is going to bring to what Usyk hasn't seen before. I mean, okay, good straight shots, but what happens when Usyk starts dancing around about him? You know, he can leave the chin in the air a wee bit in that as well. And Usyk has shown as well that he can dig. And just with the fragilities that Dubois has shown in the past, you know, getting dropped off, like as I mentioned, off Kevin Lorena, he can get badly marked up. You know, Usyk doesn't miss much. He doesn't come out there winging shots. He's no desperate when he's in his approach or anything like that. He's measured. Every punch counts. Always takes his time, methodically looks at things and that, and then he'll just start picking it apart. And I think that's what he do to Dubois. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Dubois maybe even get pulled out of the fight potentially on, I don't know, swollen eyes, maybe on cuts, possibly. But definitely I can see Dubois tasting the canvas a few times in this fight. Purely because if you see what Lorena did to him in that, I think Usyk could do it as well. If Usyk steps on the gas and does his job how I think he could do it or how he should do it, I think he could take Dubois out of there easy. No easy, sorry, but he'll take him out of there, probably do it mid-half, start of the kind of later half of the fight.
Well, it's let's see here. What is the see if they have an over/under out on that right now? I'm kind of curious.
Matty, while you're looking, very interesting comment from Des, respected poster, as we all know. He says Triple D hasn't got a chance, different levels, no fighter with Don and Spencer in the corner beats Usyk.
That he's a very, very wise man, and I think Joe Kennedy might be considering doing double points on the prediction league for this. So yeah, be careful how you swing.
Joe, if you're listening, mate, Joe, do round betting. So do rounds 1 to 3.
He can't do it. Excel spreadsheet shit.
Oh, bollocks, man.
So, anyways,
well, make it a special off books one then. That's what you do. But I agree with Des now as well. I mean, I was trying to say kind of politely as such, but again, the Lorena fight did not fill me with any confidence in that as well. You know, coming off the Joyce fight, he's rebuilt a wee bit, and then to see him getting practically desperation stage actually at one point. As I say, I'm kind of surprised as well that the knee hasn't been brought up as such or factored into it. Maybe it wasn't an issue at all. Maybe we just don't know. But that was certainly what we were hearing.
Something I was thinking, he had all those problems. I mean, and if Usyk gets him biting on some of those feints, I mean, they can step wrong. That could be pretty nasty.
I mean, I guess he's not got great upper body movement. Dubois, yeah, as I'm saying, if Usyk will just dance on the belt, he'll ping the body, try and get the hands to come down. He'll come over the top or down or right through the middle with something, and he'll catch him. He 100% will catch him with something. I'm convinced of it.
It's that's what you would probably say. I mean, because Dubois is a big underdog. He's paying like 6-1 to win. Rob, like you said, Andy, it's middle rounds. Rob, the over/under on this one is 6.5 rounds with the books. What would you be thinking on that one?
I don't know. Do you know what? This is actually an interesting fight and an intriguing fight because Dubois was potentially going to be one of the breakout British heavyweight stars before the Joe Joyce fight. I wanted him to kind of knock out Joe Joyce because just for the landscape of the heavyweights, I thought his style was more exciting. And when I'd seen him blasting out Nathan Gorman, I thought, like, maybe he's the real deal. I think being matched against guys like fucking Mr. Fujimoto and Ebenezer Tete haven't probably done him any favours. He hasn't been in with any real killers since he beat Joe Joyce either. Lorena, as Andy mentioned, giving him trouble. Trevor Bryant was just cannon fodder for him. And I think he fought some fellas called Rancho Cucamonga or something in between. So I don't know. Like I think Usyk is just way more superior technically. I think we all know AJ can bang as well. AJ caught him flush, and not only can he hold a good shot, he's good at disguising when he's in trouble as well. Because I think AJ got to him at different stages across the 24 rounds that they shared together, but he wasn't able to capitalize on it. Wasn't able to do anything with him, and I think Dubois' style is a lot more basic for Usyk than Anthony Joshua. He's slightly smaller. He's not as good off the jab. He's not as physically imposing. And I think Usyk is just going to be able to move him around for about 8 rounds and then maybe take him out down the stretch. But Dubois is a live dog in the fight because of his punch. And, you know,
it's heavyweight boxing. It is not the same as every other weight class.
I definitely think he probably punches a bit harder than Joshua. And then Joshua's done it against a slightly higher caliber of opponent over the course of their careers, obviously. But, you know, I think it's always going to be an interesting fight as long as he's able or capable of detonating that right hand, and he can definitely punch. Can he find Usyk clean enough, hit him clean enough? Is he going to expend so much energy trying to get shots off? I think he's going to look ragged towards the last third of the fight, and Usyk might take him out. But I'd like to see Usyk kind of overcome some fire as well and walk through some fire, and like maybe this fight presents value that we didn't think it was going to. I think, like as I said, 2023 has been a pretty good year, a pretty solid year in terms of big fights happening. I wouldn't say this is a mega fight, but it's still a fight for 3 of the fucking belts. Like, and if Dubois was to win, you know, you'd have Frank Warren making the fucking undisputed title in-house between Fury and Dubois in a big British fight. So, you know, the longer these guys wait out the process of fighting each other and wait for these big fucking piles of money that are being promised by Saudi Arabian investment and skill sets and all this, like the higher the risk is that one of them gets fucking knocked over, like, and the deal goes away. So, I mean, maybe Dubois can throw a monkey wrench in the works, but I don't see it. I think Usyk takes him out last third of the fight.
That's interesting, and I'm thinking about, you know, and Usyk has, you know, he's definitely has a good chance to be able to get the stoppage here, and maybe even early. I'm thinking because Dubois has a chance with the punch. I mean, it's heavyweight boxing. But Steve, when I kind of think about it, I'm like, if Lorena, who also was a cruiserweight who was moving up, hurt Dubois at times. So let's take the knee injury aside. I mean, he actually gave him more problems than just that mobility issue right there. There was definitely some hard shots that Dubois had to take there. It looked like he was going to get stopped in that fight. Man, this could actually maybe be a short night as I start thinking about an odd potential outcome.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. And I have much of what the guys are saying written down in my notes, including the Lorena situation, as you mentioned. That's a huge red flag for me. A shout out to friend of the pod, Don Charles. I know that relatives of Don's listen. They always get back to him whenever we give them a shout out and a pat on the back. So hopefully I'll not send this clip to them. But I know you're a big fan of Don as well, Matty. And I've done the interview with him and everything, which is up on the YouTube channel. But I do find it difficult to make a case. They're obviously super confident, as most teams would be going over. You wouldn't expect anything else. But Dubois can punch. He definitely can punch, but to a level, I think. And when you come to Usyk's level, much like Joe Joyce's level as well, as he showed in that fight in the Albert Hall when he beat Dubois, the best guys can find ways to circumvent that power. And Dubois, in the most part, he's flexible to a point, to a level, but he needs you to stand still for a second or two at times and receive. And Usyk, it will work very hard. His style is based upon not being in position to receive those shots, to take those flush shots. And I think that movement is going to give Dubois a lot of trouble, that constant in and out. Dubois is a confidence fighter as well. And I think once his confidence is shook, you can definitely beat him. And with Usyk jabbing away, the motion, the engine, as Andy said, the knee twisting, turning, Dubois trying to catch him, getting frustrated, losing heart, losing confidence. He showed a lot of balls against Lorena coming back. The fact he was dropped heavy was a real red flag, as I mentioned earlier. And people say, well, he come back despite the injury and knocked him out. Absolutely he did. But a fighter of any better caliber than Lorena wouldn't have allowed that to happen, that stoppage to come about. They would have finished him off in that second round or third round, whenever it was, and absolutely iced him because he was there for the taking. And someone of Usyk's caliber, I think, will do that. I can see it being a little bit cagey early on. I can see Dubois throwing a few shots, trying to feel him out, trying to get to him, land on the ropes, especially to the body, because that's what we saw Joshua have success with in the 7th round. But Usyk will just swiftly start taking over. And once he does, the blows are going to be hard, fast, accurate shots. Matt Butters in the chat mentioned about Usyk's power not carrying up, but the repetitive combinations, the punching, it's just relentless, isn't it? It's hurtful. Banging time and time again, the eye starting to close, Dubois losing heart. You can see the corner coming in between rounds and saying, look, I've seen enough here. The tail's coming in. Usyk, after about round 6 or 7, will have figured him out. And the static figure of Dubois, either in the corner, the referee, whatever it might be, maybe the tail coming in. Round 9, excuse me, Usyk stopping him for me.
Add to that as well, it's going to be a fucking cauldron. I don't think Dubois has been on a stage like this before. It's going to be practically a home fight for Usyk in Poland. I think it has the highest percentage of Ukrainian refugees that have migrated and landed
right by
Poland,
the border.
so,
someone was saying apparently.
Yeah, it's going to be like a home fight with Usyk being such a big hero. It's going to be fucking a very intimidating atmosphere. I'm not sure like he's even fought in a place that I don't know what the capacity is. The place is, but I'm imagining it's pretty. big stadium for this event.
40,000.
So yeah, so that's massive. Like, and it's going to be. I don't think he's going to be bringing a big away traveling support over there either. That's going to rival the home crowd. So that's going to be another factor for him as well. He's going to have to deal with that. Like, and I think that plays into what Steve was saying about he's a confidence fighter. Like, I think that's right. He sometimes, when he loses confidence, he looks like a rabbit in the headlights. It looks like he doesn't know what he's doing in there. Like, and up against Usyk, like, you think he's going to exploit that, don't you? Like,
yeah, we'll see. I'll tell you what, an Usyk loss would be about the worst thing that has happened to Ukraine in like 18 months. So let's not. but at 6-1, Jesus Christ, it's almost tempting to bet on Usyk.
What's the KO? What's the KO? Because there's only one way. You might as well, if you're going to bet on him to win, you might as well bet by the KO, because there's only one more fucking chance he has.
9-1, and
well, if you're going to throw your money away, you might as well throw it away on the 9-1 instead of the 6-1. Like, because that's his only
he's
shot,
not going to be outboxing him, is he? Yeah,
the
only problem with that one, when you do that, Rob, is it turns it into where you don't have just the two-way action where like a draw is a throwaway, like head clash ending the bout early and shit like that. You could get screwed. So that's the only reason, like, I hesitate.
You're getting fucking screwed anyway. Just put it on the KO. Fuck's sake.
Oh, fucking Jesus. Yeah. Anyhow, I don't know. Going to be a full day of boxing. That's for damn sure. And then after that, obviously not as big of a deal. Just kind of going chronologically here, because this is going to be on Sunday early morning for you guys. I'll try to give a heads up to the nutters and let them know if there's anything good in there, and maybe let you guys know as well if there's something particular to pick off that's better than anything else. But we're going to Tulsa, Oklahoma again with ESPN for a heavyweight match headlined by Jared Anderson against Andre Rudenko. We're also going to have Nico Ollie Walsh on there. I swear to God, he's related to somebody. It's killing me right now.
His granddad, what's his name?
I don't know. It was like Floyd Patterson. I don't fucking know.
Callum Walsh, who we mentioned earlier, I think, is it him?
There you go. That's
Callum Ali Watts.
I don't know how Steve's a cow character.
We're gonna have Abdullah Mason on this card, Steve, who I think has a lot of incredible tools. Could be one to watch.
Yeah, I like him.
Bruce Carrington, who I think I have my doubts about. Andy, your boy Bakadir Jalalov going to be on this one. Yep, he's going in there against this. Is going to be another fun one. Onariod A. Wareme.
So it's not a virus, man.
Onariodi Ewariame.
Nigeria.
You have to give some syllable play to get that one out, Matty.
He's nothing to worry Amy about him.
He's alias Godzilla.
I don't know. Well, let's see how this goes for the announce team, if they do better than I do. Anyhow, so that's got that going. This was weird. F.A. Ajagba going in against Zan Kasabutsky, who Jared Anderson was supposed to fight in his last fight a couple of months ago, and Kasabutsky had to pull out, I think, if I recall. Yeah, so I don't know. Very weird thing going on there. But that said, there's a fight on here that I think could be sneaky good. You got undefeated Charlie Suarez going in there. And Steve, I don't know if you happen to catch his fight with Paul Fleming. I can't say that I have. Taken out the undefeated Australian. This man now undefeated, and going in there, though, against a hell of a puncher in Johan Vasquez. This one, I think, could be the highlight of this card. Could be a sneaky good fight. I don't know. Have you seen any of Suarez or Vasquez?
I don't think I've seen anything of either of them, to be honest with you. Charlie Suarez, I'm looking at the box right now as we speak.
That win over Fleming, Steve, as I want to go track down that fight to watch it, because he was down on all the cards and come back to win by a 12th round TKO. So
I must have seen something in him then. He looks like a computer game character on his box right there on the screen. The King's Warrior is 35. So yeah, I don't know.
It's not a hard life for the looks of things.
I've never heard of him before.
I've heard the name. He's World Series of Boxing. He fought that Domenico Valentino. I think he was seen around Lumping to win a gold medal, possibly.
Right, yes.
Sal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that smile. Is Charlie just a nickname on his guy?
Look at that, man. You're definitely vent.
If your kid's football coach
You're
looks
really-
like that, be very, very careful.
Well, he's got no eyebrows, so if he gets the decision, he's not even going to be able to look surprised about it.
Those eyebrows.
You gotta appreciate it, though. I mean, he looks like a burn victim without having to actually go through the pain of the fire.
For fuck's sake. He's looking well for 35 with the old forehead there, Matty. A bit of Botox on the go, man.
King's Warrior. But look, it's the other guy that Matty was trying to pronounce, the Nigerians one. That's the one you need to pull up.
Oh,
His
right,
alias, Godzilla the Secret.
Godzilla. Is that what his nickname is?
What? Godzilla's not a secret. He comes out of the ocean and fucking burns down cities with his fucking fire breath. There's no secret about it.
Well, he looks like a bit of a unit anyway, this fella. Let's
See, I was thinking about like top rank there. I mean, we had Torres on that card last week. Why not keep Torres for this week or put Jalov on that card last week? If you're trying to build toward that fight, it would be ideal.
This is an 8-rounder then, so you've got him, El Army. He's been stopped twice, so he's 6'7", but he's been stopped a couple of times, so he's going to be prime for Jalalov's going to smoke him in about a couple of rounds, I would imagine. I'd say that's what he's set up for.
See that is Zusupov. He's fighting that Winston Campos. I'm sure Josh Taylor will beat him as one of his upcoming fights, and Josh Kelly will beat him as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So that'll be an easy win, I would imagine, Matty, if you want to get money on that one.
There's a bit of previous form here, Matty. So, El Army fought in 2021 against Zan Kosabutsky, who's on the main event, or the chief support, against the Jagba, and he got knocked out in 4 rounds. That was 2 fights ago. So top rank are working moves here. Excuse me. Kosabutsky was supposed to fight Anderson, as you mentioned. Couldn't get a visa. Why not just put him in with Anderson now? Instead, they're putting in Anderson against a really weak opponent, in my opinion. This Andre Rudenko. Obviously, they wouldn't know how the Charles Martin fight would go. But Rudenko is really not a great fighter. He's 39. He's been around the block a long time. You'd imagine Anderson's going to bomb me out in 2 or 3 rounds. Why put Anderson in against Rudenko so quickly after the Martin fight?
He's only been stopped once, Steve. Went the distance with Zhang. I don't know. This guy could be a pretty sturdy guy at the very least, going rounds twice in a row after going the distance with Martin.
He could. I've wondered where I'd heard of him before. Again, Wolverhampton shout out 2014. That was his first loss to Lucas Brown. That was one of the old Box Nation cards. I remember watching that fight. That was his first defeat. Then he fought Huey Fury in Monaco, and then he started picking up losses and that. But Rudenko, I don't know. I just imagine Anderson will come out throwing a lot of bombs early on. The crowd will get involved. The referee will jump in, twitchy, and stop the fight. But I wonder why they're not put Kosabutsky back in again. He is a tricky guy, and he could give Jagba fits, He's a slick southpaw, and a Jagba's pretty limited. If he catches you with the big shot, you'll go. But Kosabutsky's not that easy to hit. So I wonder what Top Rank are up to here. I'd love to know. Get Bob on the phone.
See, I think Matty as well. You got the odds there for just curiosity because you like your parlays. Lewis against Milton on that undercard because
I don't have odds on that. There's nothing out yet. Probably Wednesday I would see something there.
Maybe see about that one going the distance actually.
What one?
Milton against Lewis. Probably Milton to win on points. 8-rounder.
Oh God, yeah, that guy. He doesn't throw much whatsoever. He's just not a busy fighter.
But I'm just looking at his last 5 or 6 fights. I mean, he has fought somebody Jermaine Franklin, Junior Fa, Carlos Takam, Zhili Zhang. All of those, he's just been stopped off one of them, which was Zhang in 2 rounds.
Jeremiah Milton. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him before fighting against. Somebody.
Yeah, it was really boring. He was on.
His nickname's Dreamland. He looks like he's in Dreamland as well, doesn't he?
Oh, Abdullah Mason. This kid seems to be getting a lot of hype as well.
No,
he's good. Mason's good. Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of many good young prospects that are coming out. It could be. I don't know. I don't think boxing is as bad as people think it is. I think because there's a lot of good fights that can be made. But yeah, I honestly think
don't bet against the Masons anyway.
The Bean Masons.
Nice. I honestly think that this this Anderson fight, I think it could go quite a few rounds, possibly. Maybe it doesn't go the distance. Maybe it becomes the second guy to stop him. But I don't know about that. Anderson needs a few more rounds. I think he definitely needs some seasoning still. So
yeah, could be decent that card actually. There's a lot of good names and there's some decent enough opponents on
You
there.
might just get the big knockouts as well, you know, because
Mm.
there are like what 3 heavyweight fights on
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Jalalov's going to smoke that guy in about 1 or 2
Oh, aye.
rounds, I bet you. And then your Jagba, I don't know, he might struggle to find Kosabutsky, but I think Anderson's going to overwhelm Rudenko, but it might be like...
You get that impression that Jagba's going to be a time he's going to get knocked out well, eh?
Someone will catch him, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, maybe not going to be a very long one today. I guess I'll just sneak in there because you never know when things change. Rob, you might be curious about this. Andy, maybe too. This is interesting enough. The over-under is available on Joyce versus Zhang, and it is at 10.5 rounds.
What was the first fight again?
The first fight went 7-6.
Yeah, I think it could go over 6.5.
No, I said it's 10.5.
Oh, 10.5, sorry.
Yes. Right? That's some interesting long-term action. Just throwing out a little stuff for the gamblers. I've been coming back. It was looking dire, and I've won a few lately. Coming back. But anyways, I do think this is interesting for long-term because the way I don't know, guys. I don't want to get too ahead of this but this is a good rematch actually because Joyce just got busted the fuck up on that eye. I mean, it wasn't like he was necessarily getting buzzed or anything like that. I'm just curious if he can. Well, and I'm just curious if he can big man. They're basically trying to say that, I mean, give or take that fight's going to go to a decision almost. I mean, it's almost, it's pushing into that land. I don't know about that. I think I think you're really reaching if you think that's going to go the distance.
Zhang was catching him with some heavy shots. Frank Warren's doing that all the time, isn't he? He keeps going, Joe lost with an eye injury, as if like it was some kind of accidental clash of heads. Yeah, the eye injury was caught by the left hand, constantly bashing into it all night.
Yeah. He got lit up a little bit there. Your thick skull can't do anything to help you there, Joe.
It was just straight left hand, just down the middle. It's the only punch he needed the entire night was straight left hand.
He'd bought into the fact that he just walks through things, didn't he? That was the whole narrative. He just keeps coming through, just keeps walking through people, and just couldn't keep walking through eventually.
Well, I was surprised. What I was surprised with Zhang was his footwork, like, because he was very nifty, and he was kind of like he would step back, kind of like then step to the side or dip to the side, and then come back with his own right jab and set up that left hand. But Joyce just couldn't defend that left hand.
Zhang's decent. I said this a few fights ago, and I know people laughed. And then when the Jerry Forrest fight come through, and obviously he had renal failure, and they says, "Oh, he's found his level now." I seen him early on in his career, and for a big lad, a big massive unit, I always thought he put his hands together really well. He was fast. He wasn't just people were comparing him to Ty Fields. Ty Fields was terrible. Zhang can box, man.
He's not Tyson Fury, but he's got pretty good feet all in all for a big guy.
Zhang hurt him early too as well in that fight. I think it was the second or third round with a left hand.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, second.
Probably had maybe even had. I don't know if Joyce turned his back and went into another corner or whatever. And that.
And Zhang beat Hergovich. I don't care what anybody says.
But that was a beatdown. And I think we said at the time, you just don't know what Joyce could do differently because what he does is what he does. He stands there. He's a strong, powerful unit who comes forward. But he's meeting resistance, and he just kind of keep walking through that all night. So he's going to have to move side to side, move the head minimum at least, because he's just kind of keep eating those left hands.
I don't think trying to get a guy who's like that big and thickly built to like try to move their head a whole lot. I think that's a bad idea. I think he should be trying to catch and shoot. I think catch and shoot's a whole lot easier to teach than good head movement. If you fill the glove, you turn your hand loose.
You should be in the corner, Matty, on the evening.
Yeah, I definitely should take over for a legendary Cuban trainer, right? Or does he get rid of Salas?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's a match that really works. Salas has his hands full, doesn't he? He seems to turn up in a lot of corners every week now, so I'm not sure that's a good relationship for the two of them, to be honest.
Yeah, curious. Just anyone, I don't know if we'll get to it, but just if anyone in the chat happens to know if Joyce is still with Ismail Salasa, let me know. I'm kind of curious about that. I didn't even think about that.
Hamed there, just quickly going back to Anderson, says Kosabutsky versus Anderson is what Top Rank want to make down the line. Yeah, absolutely. But they wanted to make it last time, and it was only for the fact that Kosabutsky's visa didn't come through. So I'm just wondering why they don't make it now and they put a Jagba in instead. That's what I was saying earlier.
It is curious, right? That bit is curious, and you almost like I don't know. Do you wonder if they're putting him with the Jogba, thinking a Jogba will just take this guy out and nobody will care anymore? But I don't know. I've never been that impressed with the Jogba, right? And who was the guy that we just saw get his ass kicked about a month ago? Who went the distance with the Jogba in a real close fight?
Oh, Frank Sanchez.
No. The no.
Shaw.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yep,
Yeah, he got battered by that Australian, didn't he?
Yeah. He just got battered by a really, really sloppy fighter, and that fight with the Jogba was reasonably close. I think he lost it probably, but it was reasonably close. So I mean, considering a Jogba, didn't really even so much as put a dent in Shaw. I don't know. It gives you a few questions. I'll be curious to see the odds on that.
You might be onto something there. Maybe they're thinking Kosabutsky could possibly beat a Jagba, and then he'll have that sort of little bit of juice squeezed off him, for when he eventually fights Anderson. It'll be a bit more of a win. Or maybe they're going to put a Jagba in with Anderson. I don't know. I wonder what they're thinking.
I think he'll probably face the winner. But I think that I think they've been trying to. I mean, Jogba already has a couple of losses on his ledger. I think, Steve. Am I incorrect?
He has one. He lost to Sanchez, didn't he?
There you go.
Here's another one for you guys. See that Kosabutsky? He actually beat that Nigerian dude 2 years ago in Germany, 4th round knockout.
That's right.
My God, what else we got here? I tell you what, his resume is actually quite lacking on me. I think about it actually, because of Butsky's. Just realised as well. I thought he'd fought in America before as well. This is his first fight in America as well.
Yeah,
who's the other one I'm getting mixed up with then?
I'm not sure. I've seen him fighting that Sokolowski. It was on one of the Al Siesta shows in the bubble in Belarus, and he looked good. He looked decent. He looked small, although you can't really tell. But he fights in like a crouched stance, and he's quite dips in and out southpaw.
Right.
Flip me
those
on.
Guys
sorry.
are hard. Those guys are hard to fight when you've been fighting big guys. That they're hard as hell to fight.
I've fairly prolonged this bit, Matty. I do apologise.
No, it's okay. No, we might actually kind of make it to the 2.5 hour mark.
Sea level heavyweight chat.
There you go. We'll see what's going on.
Sorry, Steve. Just before we do segue, actually, Ozzy was actually messaging me today, actually, because I actually put up the one that says, "What are we going to be talking about today?" And Ozzy says, "Well, we could talk about Baluta." I said, "Aye, that's fair enough. It was a great fight, but we can't talk about it for a fucking hour." And here we are.
You underestimated me, Andy. I just caught myself on there.
Yeah, but you weren't prepared for us getting onto the fucking undercard of the Jared Anderson show. So the real fun happens.
Here we are.
Down the Belarus rabbit hole.
Seen that one.
But Ozzy says we should actually go and watch some Saul Farah fights and report back on it tonight. That's how bad that is for content and try and get 2 hours tonight.
I'm trying to get some people to come over to the States for the Sonny Edwards Bam Rodriguez fight, and I think our buddy Mr. Ricky Graville might wander on over. Actually,
He's
banned. He's banned. He's not gone anywhere.
What?
Interpol's all I made, Rob. That's what Interpol's.
I bet Ricky, man, if he is going over there, I hope he makes it through the fucking. He's on the fucking sanctions list, isn't he? He's been reported. He's been reported as being on the MTK sanctions list.
In the press.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But if we could get, if we could get actually, if we wanted to do the most epic one ever, and because it's such a cheap country to spend money in, if we could have an international get together in Bolivia, well, we could be there for a Sal Farah fight. Yeah. Right. No one's given a reason.
The only way Ricky's getting into the States is if he washes up on the shore.
Boxing Asylum Bolivian trivia, freaking 101.
Oh, but yeah.
Saul Farah hosting the live event, refereeing at it as well.
Aye, sanctioned it. His ring as well.
If he loses, we all run in there and start kicking his opponent
I tell you what,
in the head.
Coogan and fucking Eddie Hearn and all, they put a fucking they put the kibosh on our fucking dreams of a live event. Because if them cunts couldn't get fucking anybody into a fucking venue without their celebrity power, what fucking hope have we got?
Well said, Rob. Stop asking for. Don't ask us for live events ever again.
It's just Yafai, Dominic, Ricky Gravel, and fucking what's it called? Matt Butters and what the popcorn, and that's it. Like fucking empty room.
Joe Kennedy might make the trip.
Nobody's selling this to the fucking public. I don't think that we.
Even if we could get 24 of us together in a room, I think that would be a good time. And not everything.
Good time for who?
You even get Donny look like Lawrence Arabia as well, actually.
Darts legend Chris Mason's in the chat. We could get him to turn up.
God. I worry about
fucking Masons are everywhere tonight.
Abdullah, Chris.
They're following you. They're following you, Rob. Always look at the.
Don't
numbers.
I know it? Don't I know it?
Right. And Paul was following him as well, actually, the other night.
I'm going to get to that value of the week. Where do you see?
Now he doesn't have to worry about Irish or Interpol following him around. He has to worry about Irish Pol following him around. It's a very bothersome event. So, anyways, Steve, I guess it's time to go to you for the value of the week. Are you ready?
I'm just about.
Are we ever ready?
It feels like we're in value.
I always feel like we're ready to end it, but
oh dear,
in more ways than
we
one.
never fucking found out who's Jared. Do we think Jared Anderson's going to win? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Steve, I've got a late one for you. I'm just going to stick it in the chat here, mate.
Okay, fair enough. That'll do. Okay, on to episode 536 of the Value of the Week. Matty's here, Rob's here, Andy's here, and me, Steve. Andy's just thrown in a late one. We'll try and get that one as best. I think I've got a couple from him, Andy, so I might have that one already. I'm not sure.
You've not got this one.
Okay, fair enough. I'll check it out in a minute. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, on MVP Productions, that's Jake Paul's crowd. They were running a show on Friday evening on DAZN. We had Paulie Malignaggi, we had Wade Plemons, the UFC-induced presenter, and Dan Canobio. And the sound engineer left the mics on in between. And Wade Plemons was really enthusiastic about one of them, the chief support. He was so enthusiastic that he actually forgot the names of one of the participants. Let's have a listen.
We have a stacked main card here, but I want to talk about two fights specifically. Let's talk about our co-main event, a welterweight WBA's Continental America's title between Damian Lascaux and run it again, guys. Sorry. It's all right. Sorry about
that.
That's like when Maddie comes to me eventually, I'm after forgetting the fucking point that I was about to make.
Gentlemen, we have a stacked main
oh, it's played again. Oh, sorry, Wade. I don't want to go through that again. Anyway, so the mic kept on flitting in and out, and after a while, they asked Paulie Malignaggi if he was going to LA. I'm not really sure what for. It sounds like some kind of event or something. Are you going to LA, Paulie? And this is the response that he gave. A bit cryptic. Maybe one of you boys can work out, but he's not going to LA anyway.
I don't want to risk the Sky job. That's the problem. Don't fuck up the money.
There you are. I don't want to risk the Sky job. Don't fuck up the money, says Wade. Then what's going on there, Andy?
Where's your boss?
Where's your boss, boy? Where's your boss? Oh my!
That was MVP.
Oh, you know,
tell you what, right?
I had him in the fight Conor McGregor, I suppose, at some point. You know,
he was the best pundit ever, and he fucked the bag up because he couldn't shut the fuck up and stop talking politics. We don't want to hear about politics from Paulie Malignaggi, regardless of what fucking side of the street you're on. I don't think you should be taking your fucking political cue from Malignaggi. Like, why can't he just shut the fuck up? He was brilliant on comms, and now he's fucking living in obscurity on Paulie TV. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? What do I know? Hey, with your balls, Connor.
Yeah, his like boxing IQ is the only thing about him that isn't like totally fucking Jersey Shore, and
Dude,
he just fucking pisses it away.
I worry about him. I think he has CTE because fucking PD Cards. I said this before on the I used to listen to Paulie's podcast. He had a podcast every week, and I thought it was going to be about like him covering the fights, and it was about like his political fucking ideas and different stories. But one of the stories was, listen, guys, come on. If Margot Robbie is waiting in a room for you with your lingerie, you would fuck PD Cards to get to her. Come on, guys, come on. That's not gay. That's not gay. You would do Petey. She's all in her lingerie in the room waiting for you, like, Paulie, come on. You would do it, guys. Come on. And I was like, what the fuck am I listening to? Get the fuck off this fucking channel now. What is he talking about?
Sounds like he's trying to come to terms with the devil's threesome he had in his past.
He's thought that one through anyway. Like, who's presenting that scenario, by the way? Is if Margot Robbie's talking to her agent, like, get Paulie Malignaggi on the phone, but only if you fuck with your guys first.
Well, he doesn't want to risk the Sky job anyway, so shout out to Paulie. But like you said, Andy hasn't been on Sky for years. If that was 3 years ago, that was last Friday.
What was going to ask, actually? When was your last on Sky?
I don't know. Will you not be back on again? I don't think after that. Or his mate, Wade. Fuck, guys. That's
he's got the Pro Box gig, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's on the Pro. I don't know how much he's getting paid, but he's enjoying life.
I don't know that there's that. I think that they might be owners in that. I don't know how that whole thing works.
Yeah, it's dodgy as hell, that, isn't it?
Stop talking about my side piece. You guys don't get laid.
See that? That is one of the most epic meltdowns ever in boxing. When AB got in his head, something awful, man, I'm telling you.
He's an Al Heyman judge. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear, you guys. Boxing is disgusting. Next week, fucking Paulie Malignaggi signs with who? Al Heyman.
Brother roasted him so bad, man. See, pre-fight, done him a kipper. See, after the fight, man, he had him like almost crying, and he had him fucking dancing post-fight as well.
You know, I took
him.
Paulie's belt and I took his girl. Oh, stop talking about my side piece.
Don't brag about my side piece.
Paulie gave him a right good run for his money as well, didn't he? But the fact he didn't get the decision.
I thought that was a terrible performance, but the right was on the wall for Broder at 147 after that performance, because if Paulie had any hands at all, like, he would have fucking got the decision.
That's right. Yep.
He was hitting him with everything, but just wasn't budging him. Like, there's your side piece. Get your balls on.
See Mark Stanton's post there.
What's that?
Remember that, actually. See Mark Stanton's post in the chat. I'm trying to remember that instant.
What's he say?
Paulie spat on a matchroom punter. So Frank Smith.
He's always spitting. He spit on.
Oh, he loves to spit. He spat at that Lobov, didn't he? Yeah, that's right.
And he spat at McGregor's truck on the street.
Yeah,
spitting at everything.
He loves to spit.
What a guy!
Yeah,
go get your fucking shine box.
He was in with Boxer, wasn't he, Rob? Do you remember Ben Shalom? He used to turn up on their shit shows.
That was a great move. For fuck's sake. He fucked it up for me, didn't he, Ben Shalom? We were championing him so fucking hard just to wind Eddie up, and he fucking went, what's he at, man? Give me that fucking job instead of him, for fuck's sake.
Back to running the sweet shop. Anyway, here's Eddie's pitch, Matty, for the future AJ fights, in case you didn't want to watch them and pay for them on DAZN. Hearn on Joshua's performance against Alanius. This is just the AJ you're going to see now. No chances, Matty.
Selling that by heavy, Eddie.
Get you out to sync highlights on that, Matt.
He's left me at a loss for words, Steve.
For one. Matty wants people to come over for Bam Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards, but Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is appearing to be the troll here. He says, easy win for Bam. God bless. Sonny Edwards said, when I beat him, you're next. You must have forgot how I made your friend Alvarado look. And Chocolatito Andy says, I love your energy, but you're not in Bam's level. I will save this post and resend it to you on the 17th. God bless.
Roman being clear there about his intentions. He's bookmarking that one, baby.
Rodriguez opened up at only a slight favorite too, so interesting enough if you want to get on that long term.
Yeah.
This for all the marbles. Sorry, go ahead.
What was the odds, Matty?
I think Bam's paying like 2 to 3, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so Edwards is just paying a little bit better than even money. I think he was probably about 2 to 1.
Edwards will cause him problems. Edwards will easily cause him problems.
Story of 2 fights, not value the weak material. That's
it is actually, Matty, because you're forgetting if fucking Sonny Edwards gets the win, he's got the promised land waiting for him. The GOAT has agreed to go on a date with Sonny Edwards if he can get the victory over Bam Rodriguez. So she's making it about her again. She is the motivation for fucking Sonny Edwards' win.
She's coming for the brand new money.
Now listen, this is the fucking
death by a broken pelvis.
This is the 90-Day Fiance fucking documentary I wanted to see. The romance between Sonny Edwards and the GOAT. Let's have it. Like, we need a celebrity boxing couple. Like, we've had enough of them in music and football. We need a few fucking celebrity couples in boxing. So the GOAT and Sonny Edwards is a fucking has a lot of great potential for Belly of the Week content in the future years to come. Like,
well, I'm gonna say if he's gonna pleasure her, he's lucky that he has good hands.
Oh, there you are. The quote was tweeting. The quote was tweeting out earlier. I didn't manage to catch it. What did she say?
She said, "I'd be leaving my emotions alone, y'all. It feels good as fuck. I just be chilled as hell." Something like that. Something I'm paraphrasing. There was something like that.
Here we are. She tweeted out, "I ain't gone lie. I just want to wake up married to a wonderful, loving man and pushing a baby out. Is that too much to ask for?" And a little emoji of a pregnant woman. So there you go. Pregnant person.
Selling the dream there.
Bigger than a baby.
Oh, shout out to the Goat. We love a bit of Goat. They're talking of pushing out. There's Paris Fury. Paris shows us how she makes it work. Lots of if you have asked what will be in, how does she do it? And they are, how does she do it? Andy, getting on that one. The new Paris Fury book. Tyson, the kids and me.
My missus gonna buy that straight away. You know, she's 100% buy. 100%. She loves Paris Fury. Like watching the fucking the Furies documentary. She has the last book and all. Okay. I'll just buy the book for fuck's sake.
I was just waiting for the snippers to appear on Twitter, mate. Yeah, best of luck. I don't know.
It's mad how women are into that. Like, there's just people who are just famous for fucking. Do you know what I mean? It's like no shots of Paris Fury. Like, but she's Tyson Fury's missus. Like, I don't really necessarily read her fucking second book. You know what I mean? I'm not fucking hanging out. Hanging on the edge of my seat for this installment. Like,
well, Rob, the Body Puncher and 10,917 others seem to be willing to.
Body Puncher's Andy Lee. Actually, that's fucking.
Is that
his account. Yeah. Fucking. Yeah, so I don't know. My missus was like thrilled when she reposted us fucking dressed up at the fucking Halloween party as Fury and the missus, like, and she was like, "Paris Fury, fucking share this." I was like, "So fucking what? Like, who cares?" And she's like, "Fucking." Anyway,
see, Boris, I wish I had the talent to do it, but see when Bill Burr absolutely roasted Michelle Obama for bringing out a book, right? That's what I kind of like feel deep down about this. Right, so
you haven't got the energy at 10 o'clock.
Michelle Obama was married to a fucking president.
Like, no, but the thing is,
she's married to a depressed gypsy with a drug problem.
Who cares? She wasn't elected. Don't want to hear from her.
Michelle Patel, man, get in. Anyway, let's go on. Canelo Alvarez, we love being involved in these kind of fights, brackets, big fights. Al Heyman, thank you for this. Showtime, everybody involved. I think right now the best promoters are Canelo Promotions and PBC.
Eddie's kicked out that.
Love affairs over.
That picture's been flung out of the mantelpiece.
Eddie had to admit that, didn't he? He's on a clip saying, like, by far PBC are the best promoters in America. But we want to be number one. Like, motherfucker. Canelo was like, "Fuck you, Eddie. See you later. Hasta mañana, asshole. Put your white suit back in the fucking wardrobe." Eddie cancelling the mariachi band. I'm like, "Sorry, lads, we're going to just put
the on a retainer."
He was sending back the Versace pajamas as well to you.
Oh dear. Conor Benn is in the news again. He's in trouble, but not according to Stephen Stanley at Stanley93_. Absolutely gutted for you, bro. You fought this with everything you have, but you're a fighter and no doubt will continue to fight your corner. Well, not in the ring, but you have the support of all of us in the Ben FT Discord and many more supporters in general. They are the Ben FT Discord. We'll get behind Con. Oh dear. You're not on the Ben FT, Andy, no?
No.
You don't hear about NFTs these days, do you? Unless I'm
No, that's what I'm saying. I did see this getting brought up there.
It's almost as if fucking magic beans have no value these days.
They've chopped down that stalk. Oh dear. I can't remember who nominated this one, but I kind of feel sorry for Dennis McCann. It says Dennis is up for the fight on Friday night anyway.
Looks like it.
Oh dear, against Baluta. Shout out to Den there. Eddie.
Proof of why you should wear small underwear, gentlemen.
Pair of shorts. Eddie was at a boxing club, I think, Acock's Green Boxing, giving a motivational speech. I should have cut that speech that he did in Boston that time. Kerry Hazeltine said, "Eddie just has the natural ability to really inspire people. I'd love to see him touring the secondary schools. He would have such a positive impact on the teenagers of today."
The banter. Holy shit!
In chemistry lessons.
Can you imagine it? Oh fucking hell, man!
Those
This
poor
is how
teenagers.
Oh my Christ! How to bully 16-year-old lassies?
They're trying to stop knife crime, not fucking increase it. Jesus.
How would you be relentless when your dad hands you your business over, Matt? You know?
Someone had to buy all that leftover pizza.
Poor Eddie. Anyway, Jessica McCaskill is going in this week, as we mentioned earlier, and then she made an official statement. She said, the statements I made about Matchroom Eddie Hearn on The Boxing Voice, 16th of August 2023, were 100% untrue. I apologise for my statements that were made. I am sorry and apologise for the mistake. Jessica McCaskill.
Oh, she was fucking brilliant. Did anyone see the videos? Like,
I didn't see it.
In the video clip, she's like, so anyway, Alicia's about to sign a deal with Jake Paul, and then she's popped hot, whatever. You know, she's about to leave Matchroom, and then all of a sudden she pops hot, whatever. I was with her when she requested a VADA test, but, you know, draw from, you do the math on that. And then when she gave her apology video, she was like, well, I've got a fight coming up and all, and I shouldn't be saying that, but she kept looking away from the camera and all. She was like, so I'm sorry, I guess, for what I said, I suppose. It was like the fucking total fucking passive-aggressive non-apology to get off your missus. But she apologized to her fiance, but not really Matchroom. Like, but then she's like, she had a fight coming up with Matchroom as well, doesn't she? Against fucking Sandy Ryan, who's fucking what's her name, who's now in the mix, like, and she's like fucking wanting to kick her ass and all, isn't she? Fuck off, like nobody gives a fuck. But I believe Jessica McCaskill. She's a very believable looking character.
Want me to get the decision now?
Get the decision off me.
Possibly,
Unanimous decision verdict there from Rob on the McCaskiller. Somebody said, I can't see who it was at the top there, somebody 6Z. Can't wait to watch Galal fight this weekend. Such a talent. Another Matchroom champion in the making. And Frank 5 Sugar Smith said, 30-year-old prospect, literally fighting Tommy Frank, who's a full-time bin man for Sheffield Council. Get that on the promo poster.
That's a future trash talk for a future fucking Galal opponent, isn't it? Like,
hey,
literally bin men, like.
Falling in the steps of other great fighting bin men, like world title challenger Rendell Monroe. There's other people who have tossed refuse for a living and made a fine living in boxing as well.
Yafai literally.
City job if you're in New York. A lot of benefits.
Mm-hmm. Get in there.
Yeah. Uppity, pretentious, posh fucks.
Shout out to all our New York listeners. Tony Bellew was going in on Twitter. He says, I never once said he has the same punching power as Wilder. I said he's technically light years ahead of him and he is a better natural boxer, better combination puncher, but make no mistake, while AJ is still a puncher and can bang, as we know he's not Wilder. No one in the heavyweight division is. So there he is, Andy. I never once said he has the same punching power as
unequivocal.
Wilder. Said Tony. He's unequivocally denied that until the evidence came out. Let's see it now.
He has the same power capabilities as Deontay Wilder.
Well, blow me over with a feather. I'm fucking surprised that he's contradicted himself there.
Well,
no fun for that.
He must have CT, like he said, in that man, because he can't obviously remember saying it or whatever.
He's got no shame. That's what it is.
In memory.
Aye. He's in a haze. You know, them people who lick frogs in the Amazon. He's licking something. I don't know what.
Feeling.
Send him mad. Send him mad. Maybe we'll move on from that one. Yeah, exactly.
Like Mike Tyson. Smoked a toad.
Top Rank was shitting on him, shithousing him. Did you see?
That
never forget when Usyk flattened Tony Bellew. It was the never forget night too, wasn't it?
It was bang on cue as well.
Which brings me on to something. So, right, I always have it in my head that, like, we had the Bellew of the fucking century, that particular episode, because that was the night that Bean referenced the bomber tattoo on the back of Bellew's back and says, this is in no way connected to the terror attacks of Manchester. In this very arena, we'll never forget. Ding, ding, round one, right? So I went back and I was like, listening to episode 299, and the fucking episode wouldn't load up for me, right? I was like, this fucking thing won't load up. I was trying to get to the Bellew of the week, right? And then when it did load up, it had a timestamp on it that said, at the exact time that we were talking about Bomber, it said Interpol on it. So I screenshotted it, sent it into the chat, and then reloaded the fucking thing, and it had disappeared. So just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not trying to kill me. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But yeah, we're being watched.
Jesus Christ. I love
Yes, someone referenced it there as well. Andy, do you remember Bellew was badly concussed afterwards, wasn't he? And they just let him ramble on. And he
Aye.
kept kissing Usyk's head
Aye.
and just talking shit.
He's
Alexander,
going,
Alexander, Alexander.
We'll never forget.
We'll never forget. But Ozzy that night was fucking. Who's sitting at home thinking someone that bastard Tony Bellew's got bomber written on his back?
I'll have to cut that one back out rather than put it up as a standalone, as a short or something, man.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant. Unbelievable. Scenes, like absolute scenes.
That was epic, actually.
Usyk did the same to AJ, says Chris Mason. He rewires people. Who knows what Dubois is going to be coming
What
off with?
Dubois going to do? Watch out ringside. Fuck's sake.
He's going to be like
Imagine
Spencer
Dubois-
Fearon at the end of the fight.
Imagine Dubois just goes fucking laser at two boys in the corner afterwards, like bang, bang. In the middle of fucking Poland.
He hits you so hard, he makes you leak cervical fluid.
We've all been there, mates.
Usyk rewiring heavyweights since 2019. Oh dear. Chris Burns in the chat says, "Don't forget my nomination. I've forgotten it already. To be honest, I've been rewired. Chris, you may remind me about that one." Andy, there you go. Is that the one you sent me? Yeah, I did have that one. Metal Hellbeard is responsible for this on Twitter, and the next one I'm going to show you in a minute. So this is a revamping of the famous meeting.
Look at the table next to Frank Smith.
All the eggs. We've got Tony there. Evan Fields at the top. Fuck's sake. Oh, I should have taken Metal Hellbeard for that one. And also, he got stuck in on the IFL. The IFL live poster as well. Did you see that one, Matty, before?
Oh my God.
Look at Raul Moto. Look at him.
Kind of head at the bottom there.
I appreciate everyone who takes the time to do such amazing work. Incredible.
Right, that was the one that Smiddle then responded to, and the fucking Coogan's on her Smiddle's ass.
Look at that lineup. Oh my God.
Oh, Kelly.
Oh, Fred, where's the Daniel Kinahan? Oh, fuck me.
Ron Jeremy.
Kelly Maloney's looking well. The Crankies, John McCrick.
Chairman Mo.
You read Red Book.
Jay Goody. Jay Card. You buying my ticket, Andy? I'm not buying your ticket.
Fucking Sooty, man.
Who put Sooty in at the bastard?
Jade's in the middle. Chris Mason, look next to Bear, whoever that is, and Gary Boozy. I don't know who he is either.
What? You would
take a handicap match with R. Kelly and Joe Exotic against Gerald Miller.
Oh, Epstein.
Cougs and Eddie in the corners.
Look, I've just seen R. Kelly for the first time. Was it me?
Your mind will be telling you no if you're at that show.
Mark Stanton says like a porky billboard.
Oh, you bastard.
Hold on.
You come asking real boxing questions here, by the way.
Andy, did you reference the song "It Wasn't Me" because of R. Kelly?
Yeah.
That's funny in itself too. Good job. That was Shaggy. That was Shaggy that did "It Wasn't Me."
And that was based on the Eddie Murphy joke out of Raw, wasn't it? Your wife catch you cheating, and you just have to say it wasn't me.
Yeah,
I look right in your face. Was me.
Chris Burns. Yeah, sorry, Chris. I haven't been on Twitter for about 6 months, dude. I'll try and catch that one next week just for you. I'll log in. Michael Benson, lesser spotted, tweeted out, "Who is your favourite fighter in boxing today?" Isaac Warrior jumped in. You fucking fool. Little play prick.
Trigger him off.
I mean, I get the sentiment, but the timing is off.
You can't argue with that, Rob, to be fair.
It's an innocent question.
Well, it was at 4:14 in the afternoon, so it wasn't Ambien.
Straight in, no messing. That's what you love to see, Andy.
Fuck aye.
I don't know what's up with old Usyk there, but there you go.
They foreplay, man, right to the fucking point.
Right, that's all the ones that I've got. What about you, Matty?
I don't think I have anything this week, unfortunately, Steve.
Oh, nothing for Matty then. What about you, Andy?
Not much, mate. Obviously, the ones that I had picked have already been nominated, man. But remember a couple of weeks back I mentioned about the baseball players that had that fucking showdown
Oh, yes.
in the middle of the field. Anyway,
Yes.
the guy that got knocked out actually got the longer ban. Fucking poor bastard. He got the longer ban. I think he got 6 games, and your man that knocked him out only got 3 games. So it fucking pays.
That's like when you lose a fight and you get popped for steroids after.
Can you imagine that happening like in a football field in the UK or something like that? You'd be fucking prison sentencing get handed in 3 months, easy. Easy, I'm telling you, they're trying to make an example of him. Yeah,
Sure, Duncan Ferguson butted your man, didn't he? Went to prison.
They don't tolerate that on the field. Only in the stands. In the stands, it's perfectly fine.
Aye, then obviously that guy, as we mentioned at the 49ers game last night, getting iced off big bullet head. That was awesome.
Yes.
So nothing else for me, mate. I don't think.
Nothing else.
I'll hear a quick look though. So we'll go to Rob, see if he's got anything.
Yep, no problem. Nothing from us. Anything from you, Rob?
No, really. Alicia Baumgartner's handling of her doping allegations has been quite funny. She posted the Twitter clip of that girl that got arrested in America. It was like, "I'm legally blind, y'all." Like minutes after her fucking statement, which I thought was fucking ballsy enough. And I might be a bit behind that if she is being ballsy. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Like, and then Eddie, like, as well, with his fucking like dead straight face, telling everybody that this fucking fight from Joshua is going to be fast tracked now, and we're working behind the scenes to get it done. And now we find out it's not happening. Quell surprised I am. Has yet to make a big fight in 2023 Matchroom. Like,
it's 2 weeks away, mate. Stop being so fucking negative. It's 2 weeks away.
Sorry, Internet. Sorry, man. I know you're having a bit of a sticker at the moment. But yeah, and I thought Jessica McCaskill obviously fucked me. Like, that was unbelievable. So yeah, them for me.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, Rob. So we had the MVP crew then going in, Malinagi and his pals forgetting to turn off the microphone. It wasn't necessarily their fault, but we enjoyed it all the same. More of that stuff, I would say. Hearn on Joshua's performance also got a nomination. We had Chocolatito going in on Sonny Edwards. We had Paris Fury releasing another book. We had Canelo talking about Eddie and the promoters. We had Stephen Stanley defending Conor.
Sorry, Steve.
Yes.
Sorry, breaking late one. I have to interrupt. Not a brilliant one.
Go on.
There was a highlight. There was a Twitter highlight during the week, and it says Floyd Mayweather pays high tribute to prospect Keyshawn Davis. Floyd said Keyshawn is a hell of a fighter, and I thought, I don't know if that's necessarily high praise for Floyd Mayweather. Is he literally put together a montage of him saying that about every single fucking fighter on planet Earth that he's been asked about? So I don't necessarily know if that's fucking Floyd praising or not, or just fucking going through his standard phrasing.
I wonder if that exists on YouTube as just a compilation of Floyd saying he's a hell of a fighter from post-fight interviews.
No, it should. If not, someone with more time on their hands than me should definitely do that.
That's Floyd's new I've made smart investments, isn't it, Rob, that one?
Yeah, he's a hell of a fighter. I made smart investments. The thing about Floyd Money Mayweather is that's basically his fucking repertoire.
We're going to talk to Al Heyman.
Yeah. Floyd never changes. Stephen Stanley getting stuck in there. We had Dennis McCann getting up for the scrap on Friday evening. We had Eddie, talking to the youngsters in the boxing club. We had Jessica McCaskill rolling back her statement about a statement. We had the full-time bin man, Tommy Frank. We had the bomber. I didn't say something that he did say. We got Tony getting flattened by Usyk. We had Metal Hellbeard as well going in on the meeting. And then the IFL live poster. And Isaac Lowe, something we could all get behind on episode 536, going in on Michael Benson. Who are you going for this week, Andy?
I didn't want to go for Bellew, mate. It'd be too easy to pick on that one. And Dennis McCann's a bit childish. We having to be Popper there, so I'll go for Jessica McCaskill. Because that wasn't really kind of like walking back a statement, and Eddie must have been raging that she's just basically, as Rob alluded to the video, so he must be fucking pissed off with that one. Like, so I'm interested to see maybe Sandy Ryan maybe pulls out of this fight with an injury. Eddie maybe pays her on the side, and she's left without a date possibly. We'll wait and see.
Okay, Jessica McCaskill gets the vote for Andy. What about you, Matty?
You know, Steve, because it was the leadoff, I think we forgot how good the DAZN snafu with the mics was. I'm going with that one.
Oh, I forgot about that one, actually.
Yeah, that was a good one, actually. Hey, what about you, Rob? What are you going for?
Yeah, it's got to be McCaskill, and basically because she was so flagrant in it, and then her apology video was fucking not an apology at all. Everyone on Twitter was like, I don't think this one's going to cut it. So then she made that other fucking even more passive-aggressive statement, which was just like 2 sentences. I'm sorry for the statements that I said that are untrue. Sorry, everyone. And then the fact that fucking Frank reinforced it in one of his interviews, and he was shoulder rolled his way in and said, well, apparently she was fucking leaving to go to fucking Jake Paul, so draw your own conclusions. Jesus Christ. So yeah, the McCaskill saga for me.
I sometimes something got the heart to call him, but Steve calls him by the way. But Steve said the legal letter, so I can understand.
Great guy, Frank.
What do you call him, Steve?
Well, who, allegedly?
Aye.
I don't know. What do I call him? I'm starting to get a bit worried now.
Trying to walk you right into a counter here. Nah, that's all right. There you go. Give me
For the
fucking
purposes of the pod, I call him Mr. Warren and nothing more, nothing less. That's what Oh dear. For the record, I was going to go for the IFL poster. I thought that was class, to be honest with you. But that means Jessica McCaskill, the McCaskiller, has 2 votes. So she is the Bellew of the Week winner for episode 536. Congratulations to you, Jessica. Just before we go back to Matty, no news is good news, unless it's to do with super chats. We had none tonight, and no new subscribers at patreon.com/boxing asylum. So,
Right, bastards.
They are, at least today. But anyhow, it has been a good time. We are looking forward to the fights next week. Going through a little bit of a slow time, but there's definitely some stuff coming up here. We shall see if anything gets canceled, as Oz alluded to, regarding the Smith and Eubank rematch. We'll see. That's kind of filling in the gap there, but we'll find out. That seemed a little inside baseball-y, but we will find out. I would like to thank Steve, Andy, and Rob for joining us today, and also everybody that was in the chat, keeping it entertaining. Steve will be back hosting next week for episode 537. I've been your host, Matt DiGianardo. You folks have a great week. We'll see you next time.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking wank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumple fucking Stiltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't it? 7-year ain't it? I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.